It's open bar. A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dictators. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, touch me, say, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Well, hello, wonderful people of the open bar. How's it going, everyone? Cheers to you guys.
Yeah, cheers to everybody. How you doing? Another week, another week of drinking excessively.
Yeah, well, you know, there's always an excuse, I suppose. But yeah, this is, wow, it's open bar 112. We're really getting up there in the numbers. And well, what a week it's been. We've all experienced Agatha. We can talk about that for sure. And we've got Rings of Power as well, as usual. So we can give you our breakdown of that.
Getting utterly splattered with acid in the form of media right now. It's
wonderful. Sludge, isn't it? We're just like, they've opened the sludge pipes and we are just getting showered in this stuff and it will not relent, I suppose. Yeah. So this is where we find ourselves, I suppose. So anyway, well, on a slightly lighter note, what we normally do is we give you a little rundown on the year that was. In this case, it's going to be 2012 to coincide with Open Bar 112. So I can tell you a few things that happened that year. It's such a random selection of stuff. On a slightly cool note, a skydiver made history by doing the world's highest ever free jump. It was from 128,000 feet. So basically he was in space when he did the jump. His name was Felix Baumgartner. He ascended to the edge of space in a pressurized capsule suspended beneath a giant helium balloon. He jumped and he free-falled for 4 minutes and 20 seconds before finally opening his parachute, which I just think is really cool. I remember seeing that on the news actually back in the day, and I was just thinking, he's living the dream right there.
I feel like the first 10, 20, 30 seconds would be maybe a bit scary. And then eventually you'd probably just be like, well, this is it for a while.
Yeah, settle in, I suppose.
Yeah. It's like,
well,
God,
I remember him crossing himself. Well, I remember him crossing himself when he went out, like when he did the jump, you know, like a Hail Mary sort of thing. And I just thought, why is this any more scary than just jumping out of a plane from like 5,000 feet? Like either way, if your parachute doesn't open, you're going to die. Like it doesn't matter if it's...
I don't know enough about how it works, but I assume he would not be falling any faster because you reach terminal velocity at pretty fast anyway, right?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, MauLer, because from such a high altitude with no air resistance, you can actually, like, terminal velocity would be extremely fast. You know what I mean? There's nothing to slow you down when you're that high.
Would he be reaching a higher top speed at that height than he would on his prior, like, lower level ones, I guess?
Yes, because the more dense the air is, like, the more it's going to create air resistance that will slow you down to some extent anyway. So, yeah, you would fall faster, but, like... How can I put this? Either way, if your parachute fails to open, you is going to go splat when you land. You know, whether it's 200 miles an hour or 500 miles an hour.
So many physics that go into that in terms of things that we don't even have remote understanding of. Like, you know, if he was to explain it to us in terms of like if you got one thing wrong, it might fuck up the whole thing in terms of the speeds and
I wonder
the body getting used to it and stuff.
Well, I wonder if he got a little bit of like friction, like heat. Almost like re-entering the atmosphere. Like, did he have to account for that? Don't know. Anyway, we got sidetracked there a little bit.
I don't think so. You know what? I'll go look into it for the next episode. So we can the opening.
We'll do an entire episode just devoted to that, like the physics behind it and stuff. Anyway, Felix Baumgartner, if you're out there, we want you on Open Bar to explain yourself how you did this jump.
Yeah.
I was also looking up random things that happened that year. Apparently, David Cameron, who was at the time the Prime Minister of the UK, accidentally left his 8-year-old daughter in a pub and just wandered off and left her. You know, we all forget things, our phone, our wallet, our car keys, and he forgot his daughter. So, well done, David. Well, I think that's a nice random one. It was also the year the Costa Concordia sank because the captain wanted to impress his mistress, and he drove the ship very close to the rocks, as it turns out, to do a close pass, and got a bit too close, as it turned out, and sank it. Bad day. Yeah. But in the world of movies, you'll be pleased to know that the top movie of the year was The Avengers with 1.5 billion.
2012? Did 2012 come out in 2012? I'm trying to remember.
No, it did not, sadly.
Wow, useless.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that came out in 2009. Liars.
Yeah. Well, it had to be the near future, didn't it? It's the thing that.
What do you think? They're like, we got to get it out before 2012 because fucking everything will be dead by 2012.
Yeah. Well, if it came out in 2012, then everyone would be like, "Oh, what's the panic? Like, we're still here and we're alive." So this movie sucks, man.
They should have put it at least out by 2011. It's 2009. It's just way too early. Right? It's like, it'll be fine. 3 years, we could do all kinds of stuff.
Maybe they started production on it and it was just way ahead of schedule. They're like, "Oh, this is awkward. We finished like way quicker than we expected. Sorry, guys. Let's just release it." But yeah, we also got Skyfall that year, which was 1.1 billion. That was big numbers for a Bond movie.
And it's like, would you say the second most liked of the Daniel Craig selection?
I think so. Yeah, you got Casino Royale and then Skyfall. I think it's got its issues, but Skyfall has a nice like core story that I think is pretty decent. So, and it was Judi Dench's last appearance as M.
Yeah, it felt like there was graspable meaning in it, even if it's like clunky and has different problems, and then loads of continuity issues for the Bond series compared to something like a Quantum of Solace or a Spectre, where does anyone even know what happened in those films?
I can't remember Quantum of Solace. No one can. No one even
you can't remember it. If you did, you would then be confused. You know what I mean? Like even
if you could even remember this movie, you would be confused.
Which doesn't, I think, happen with Skyfall, even though it's not, it's not amazing or anything.
It's a fairly straight up story of revenge, isn't it? So it's not. Yeah, the core narrative is pretty easy to grasp, even if like some of the stuff's quite contrived or whatever.
I think it was with Skyfall I started to realize as well we have this. Javier Bardem is one of the people who got entered into the place. The Christoph Waltz is in, and Giancarlo Esposito, the guys who were just holy shit. They did the one role, and now they're just cast as bad guy, generic in everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, he was good at it, but as an actor, it's got to be kind of frustrating. Like, I can do other things, I can be the hero sometimes. No, you have to play creepy weirdo villains. Yeah. We also got The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. That was a movie. Sorry, people of chat. No, it was amazing. Don't worry. We've got no issues with that whatsoever. We also got The Hobbit, the first part of the Hobbit trilogy anyway, which made over $1 billion. So yeah.
I remember seeing the first one and thinking to myself, that was okay. I think that this could work, depending on what the next two are.
I remember watching that and just thinking, I don't want to see any more of these. This is so shit compared to Lord of the Rings.
God, I just I was so ready for more Lord of the Rings that I was like, well, that was the first one of whatever this is, I guess.
Yeah. I think I remember watching it and seeing, especially like Ian McKellen, just how much older he looked, and Christopher Lee, like who was essentially just a reanimated corpse at that point.
Yeah,
like how every scene he was just sitting at a table or something, and he just looked really. I think they CGI'd his face a little bit to try and de-age him slightly, but he just looked like a waxwork or something. It was weird. Still had the voice, sort of.
Well, that's the thing. He was fucking on death's door, and that's it was really sad because obviously he has a powerful presence when you in his prime sort of thing. So, and it's an inevitability for everybody, but still watching it, you're just like, oh,
yeah. Age comes for us all, I suppose. But yeah, I did see a little video recently where it was talking about how production was often like halted for hours at a time because like Christopher Lee just launched into some story about his life or his career or whatever, and everyone just kind of gathered around to listen.
Absolutely.
And I love that because it's like if Christopher Lee's got something to say, you fucking sit there and listen to him.
Yeah, then they'd be like, they've got work to do, and they're like, shh.
Yeah, Christopher Lee's talking.
An old man is talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as one of the actors said, like that man has lived a life. And he absolutely did.
Yes.
But yeah, in terms of other movies that year as well, we also got Cloud Atlas, which I've got a bit of a soft spot for. I hate to say it, but I think there's actually a lot to find in that movie that's quite interesting, and especially in terms of themes and like actions carrying over to to different eras and how like one little decision can have repercussions.
I only saw it when it came
eras.
out, and I don't remember it. Maybe I should rewatch it sometime.
I think it got a bit of stick at the time just for, one, it's obviously a very fragmented narrative, and two, they used the same core group of actors and increasingly absurd makeup and stuff to try.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think particularly when they tried to make Halle Berry white, it's like, oh, that was a tough sell. But yeah, it was an interesting film. I like the ideas behind it. We also got Dread that year. It's been 12 years since we saw Dread.
So sequels on the horizon is what you're saying?
Sure, yeah. Let's go with that.
Right, yeah.
Cabin in the Woods, which I really liked, actually. I remember loving it at the time.
I didn't realize 2012 was stocked with so many different wacky films,
Yeah, we also got Ted, which is worth it for the Flash Gordon sequence alone. Django Unchained as well. And we got Argo, which is another excellent movie. But we also got Prometheus, so,
man,
swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
And Total Recall, which...
Oh, no one remembers that happened.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's the one that kicked off the modern trend of remakes. Like, I know remakes had been done before in Hollywood, but like I feel like that was the beginning of the modern era of remakes, where it was just like they opened the floodgates and they just all poured through.
I'd have to check, but the thing about it that I wouldn't consider a starting point is it was like really boring gray sludge remake, not a subversive, deconstructive nightmare, which felt like a bit further on we get to those ones.
I just, for the life of me, I'll never understand what their thinking was behind it. Like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Paul Verhoeven one is actually a pretty interesting movie. And this had none of that. Like,
no, it didn't. Not even close.
Bizarre, yeah.
I remember being distinctly fucking disappointed watching it because it had Bryan Cranston in it. I was like, God, this would be, you're like, oh, the potential. No, okay, never mind.
And it did that stupid thing of having like a distinctly middle-aged, out-of-shape actor as the villain facing off in a fist fight against like Colin Farrell, who was super pumped up for that role and was probably, I don't know, mid-30s or something. Like, guess who won? Like, what did you think was going to happen? At least even the odds somehow. Like, fucking hell.
Probably deserves coverage someday.
I think there's probably a lot of mockery to be done there. But anyway, speaking of mockery, we should assemble our panel so we can mock tonight's shows. What does that sound like?
Yes, I think we should too.
All right. Well, assemble, drinkers of the open bar. We have got Fringy, BlueCollarLoser, and Az.
Hello.
Hello.
I feel every time, because last time when you were doing the trivia, I was like, oh, I need to find out something that coincides with this year. So I figure game trivia. 2012 was the year that Nintendo released their most successful console, the Wii U, and PlayStation released their most successful console, the PlayStation Vita. Both of which I would say are kind of underrated systems for different reasons. But alas, lost to time.
The Wii U is a great example of like a short-term win that absolutely doesn't translate into long-term success. Like the people who bought the Wii, that's where Nintendo just traded in like their core fan base for casuals, like fucking 50-year-old moms who'd buy it so that they can do the Wii Fit exercises and stuff. Those people are not going to upgrade to your new console so they can get a better experience.
A Wii U, a lot of people wouldn't have even known that was a new console. They'd be like, oh, it's like a little accessory that you can get for the Wii. Yeah. And then it's like you said, right? Yeah. You've catered to an audience that isn't going to stick around and certainly not pay more money. And also, it's just kind of like that system had really good games, but the actual idea of like that gamepad was not smart.
It's funny, like, because we some weeks we've covered video games and like the best-selling games, and like there was that period in the late 2000s, early 2010s, where it's like if you looked at the best-selling video game charts of that year, it was dominated by the Wii. Like everyone was buying, and it was all Wii Sports, Wii Fit, like all that stuff. But that console was a phenomenon for its time, but it was a short-lived phenomenon.
Yeah, compared to the Switch, which is a long-term phenomenon, which may actually end up being their most successful console of all time.
Yeah, it's a neat little piece of equipment. I like it.
I love the Switch. I think it's I not necessarily for its hardware, even though I do kind of like the idea behind it, but obviously it's quite dated at this point. But the library of games is insane. So many good games on Switch. Mario Kart 8, included.
Yeah, that is super addictive. I do like Mario Kart. But anyway, well, God, I could just spend all night just talking about. I'm trying to avoid actually talking about the actual subjects for tonight. It's like, oh, what else can we cover?
By the way, I remember Quantum of Solace. Okay,
what happens in it?
Yeah, what happens in it? You lie.
What was the villain's plan?
Okay, so
Go ahead,
he's just gonna sit there and like quietly bow his head.
He drank oil in the desert.
Right? There was a guy, right, and he knew a general, and the general took a girl, and Bond killed this guy in a hotel room, right, and then he got on a bike, and then the guy gave the woman to the general.
Here we go.
Because the general had killed her mum, and she wanted revenge, but she messed up. And then they went to a hotel in the desert, and then the bad guy drank oil and died.
Well said.
That was Quantum of Solace.
That is a fucking brilliant plot summary. They went to a hotel in the desert, and then the bad guy drank oil and died.
What's insane about it is I watched it when it came out, rewatched it I think like years later, and then I rewatched it semi-recently for the new Bond. I watched them all in a row, ready for No Time to Die. I can't envision anything you just said. Like there's none of that.
They went to a party. There was a party. Oh yeah, Jenna Atherton was in it, and she played Agent Fields, and they'd actually cut out the fact that she was called Strawberry Fields.
Right.
That's what a character was called. But they got rid of the strawberry in editing, so she was just Fields.
Remember when Bond movies used to be like kind of like quirky and fun and like glamorous and a bit flamboyant and just
what's he doing? He's attempting re-entry, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they're so dour. They're so boring.
Bond films used to be what we call fun.
I tell you what, though, you asked me what happened in Spectre. I can't.
Christoph Waltz was in it. He was behind it all.
I remember. The only thing I remember is him looking in the trailer. He looks up and goes, "Isn't that right?" Also, and that's it. That's all I remember about.
It's funny, right? Because the amount of people that really like Daniel Craig's run as Bond, and then you ask them, like, what did you like about it? And they'll go, Casino Royale was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's all they got. It's like, yeah, that was a great movie. Sure. What about all the others? Can you tell me anything about them? Do you even remember? I don't think so.
That's what's said, but then they're all box office juggernauts. None of them have bombed. I think the last one did like $1 billion. So they're not
nearly, yeah.
Like Drinker said.
Well, I mean, as we were talking there, like
Bond.
I probably, apart from Casino Royale, probably Skyfall was the closest to having like a really just a neat core narrative that people could follow quite easily, but also, there was a lot of shenanigans going on around it. And so it felt like there was something to grapple with there. Quantum of Solace, I can't think of a worse way to try and follow up something like Casino Royale than with that.
Was it the writers' strike, and that's why it was all over the place? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was something weird about it. There was something going on behind the scenes. Yeah.
As you said, Drinker, how many interviews? Daniel Craig seems like the most miserable man on the planet, getting paid $40-50 million to play Bond, and he actually hates his life.
I've always had the impression he never wanted to do it. I think maybe his agent or something convinced him that, like, do it. It's going to be amazing for your career. You'll get so many more opportunities. Okay, fine, I'll do it. And
got him Knives Out.
Yay!
Wow. And I was going to say, on the note of Spectre, I've forgotten the plot line, but I'll never forget the reveal portion where they've got a little poster for every major character of all the prior movies, and then Christoph Waltz's Blofeld is like, all of this was deliberate and intertwined and meaningful, trust me. Everything you've seen in all these disconnected nonsense films, it all comes to a big point, trust me. And then even Bond was like, what?
That was one of their biggest mistakes, was trying to have this overarching story that tied all of these movies together, just because it became nonsense towards the ends. Like, it was absurd.
Well, Skyfall moved away from that. and then Spectre brought it all back again because
Yep.
So that's why it's so disjointed, because they did Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace as essentially the same, full story wrapped up. Skyfall was its own entity, and it was meant to be its own entity. And then they said, "Oh, wouldn't it be good if we linked all of them together?" And I think was it Mendes that did Skyfall?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
yes,
I think it's, I think it's Mendes that did Skyfall, and so he was kind of like, "Well, Skyfall," and they're just like,
They had Adele.
Yeah, it's just fucking.
I mean, the whole point of the Bond movies being so successful is you could jump into them at any point. You didn't need to have like prior knowledge. You didn't need a fucking like 20-minute like review of like all the previous movies to catch up to where you were now. It's fine. You could just jump into it, have a standalone Bond adventure. You kind of knew roughly what you were going to get, and then move on to the next thing. That's what made them so viable and so timeless, I suppose. Like they had that great longevity as a series because people could jump in at any point. It was great.
Best Bond film of all time.
No, it's like you've got to like have flow charts and like plot summaries of all the previous movies to understand what the hell's even meant to be going on now.
Don't you want the James Bond cinematic universe?
Oh my god.
There was going to be a time, right, during Pierce Brosnan's run with Halle Berry as Jinx, where she was going to get her own spin-off movie, and that was going to be the beginning of a interconnected Bond universe. Yeah. And I would have been fully on board with that. I think that's quite a cool idea. I would have liked to see Jinx go on her own adventures, but it wasn't to be.
Was that a question you were asking there? As of
sorry.
Best Bond film of all time. Go on.
Me and Drake have the same answer, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's GoldenEye.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna say. I gotta say it. Yeah,
but I think
my such a bitchin' Bond movie.
I think my favorite, although I recognize GoldenEye's better, I think The Spy Who Loved Me is my personal favorite. I fucking adore that film.
Yeah, GoldenEye was my. Sorry, more.
I was going to say, I don't know how it happened this way, but Goldeneye, Goldfinger, the gold ones, they're just...
the gold ones.
Yeah. Always loved Goldfinger, and then GoldenEye, when I first saw it, I was just like, fuck me, this is just concentrated Bond greatness. And
Man with the Golden Gun? Are we...
Well, it's Christopher Lee, so how can I not love it? Yeah. And Nick Nack, right?
Yeah, because, people give Roger Moore a lot of shit as a Bond, but, like, that was one of the more grounded ones when it was the Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah. So was The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes, that's why I liked it. It's like, if you actually give him a serious script, he can actually do pretty good as, like, quite a brisk, business-like sort of Bond. He can do it. He's not all about the raised eyebrows and the double entendres.
What about The End to Live and Let Die?
Wait, is that
on the boat?
Oh, is that when he puts a midget into a suitcase and throws him off the
boat? Even as you say it out loud.
Oh no! Wait, is it that one, or is it the one with the gay assassins?
It's the gay with the gay assassin.
Oh yeah.
And when he sticks his hand around, he's like, "Ooh!"
Oh yeah. That's something they would not do nowadays for sure.
Yeah, Moore had some good films. They've all had good films. Like even Dalton. Well, apart from Lazenby. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie because the story in
the film was good. It was just Lazenby was shit.
Yeah, it's just Lazenby the problem. But they've all had good movies. Well, every Bond's had at least one or two really good Bond films out there. But I mean, I've got to go with GoldenEye. I think it's the perfect Bond movie. Just the perfect Bond movie.
I was like, looking at the cast for Man with a Golden Gun, just happily noting what a great villain name Scaramanga is. And then I was like, I was just looking through it. I was like, oh, Christopher Lee's best known for is Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Like, yeah, that's fair. And then it was a picture in his IMDb that I didn't recognize. And I was like,
Dracula as well. Hello.
Yeah, well, of course. I'm just saying that the top ones on IMDb with that, which I often find them to be unfair, but that one I'm like, yeah, that's fair. I wish Dracula were in there as well, but whatever. One of the pictures for his work was just someone I didn't recognize. I clicked it. It's from a film called The Return of Captain Invincible from 1983. Have you guys heard of this?
I don't believe I have. No.
I have never heard of this myself, but I just read it. It says during World War II, Captain Invincible fought against the Nazis using superpowers. Lately, fucking hell.
Is that like lately in Hitler?
Later, he is falsely accused of communism and so retires to Australia.
What?
I was like, wait, what?
By the way, isn't the midget in a suitcase the man from the Golden Gun? By the way,
That'd be Knick-Knack then, is it? Or...
No, that was a Connery one. I'm pretty sure.
Was that Connery one?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Bond.
Midget in a suitcase.
Let me Google midget.
let me Google Bond midget in a suitcase.
Boy, our search history.
I love this. Like, I'm getting a description here of what happens to Knick-Knack. Bond jumps out of the way just in time and engages in a whimsical fight with Knick-Knack, eventually managing to trap him in a suitcase, which he takes up on deck. When he returns, he implies to Goodnight that he threw Knick-Knack overboard and drowned him before they resume having sex.
It is the man with the golden gun. It is the man with the
golden gun. Sorry.
Yes.
I was convinced it was Connery who did that one.
Oh my god!
Nothing gets a woman in the mood like saying I've murdered a midget by drowning him.
Dude, that's kind of horrifying. Like, he couldn't get out of the suitcase and just filled with water and he just drowned. Like, Christ.
Utterly terrifying way to die. In the dark.
Desperately trying to poke at the zip. Like, come on.
Oh, I hate you ass for bringing that up.
I fucking love Bond.
Bond's amazing. We need to do something for Bond, like coverage of some kind.
I love how we've been doing this stream for like half an hour. We haven't even discussed any of the topics.
Our two alternatives are horrific.
I know. Let's just talk about Bond movies all night.
Just turn it into a Bond special, man. Come on, let's go.
Shouldn't open bar be fun instead of depressing?
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
What's our job to convert depression into fun? That's what we're supposed to do.
All we need is to murder midgets, and we'll have all the fun in the world.
First time on Twitter, Drinker's like, "Hey, you want to come open bar?" Sure, no problem. We discussing Agatha. I was this close from blocking you yesterday.
So natural.
Agatha, oh yeah.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we tackle it a little bit?
No, wait.
Okay, so let's keep going.
One more thing to
Come on,
distract. All right, I saw this and I was just like, "Fuck me." So it's just it's from Star Wars Holocron. So, but I assume this is all above
bollocks.
But no, true. Like, because it's not controversial to posting like them, but it's nice and things to us. So Skeleton Crew co-creator John Watts hints at how Dave Filoni operates as chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. Quote: "What's great about working at Lucasfilm is they'll let you know if you've gone outside of the boundaries. Dave Filoni is the goalkeeper."
Ooh.
Meaning, of course, he's probably more responsible for everything you've been seeing in Star Wars than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's responsible for a lot, to be fair.
Why would that be a surprise to anybody, though? He's like the chief, isn't he like the chief creative officer at this point? Yeah. So, like, he is ultimately in charge of all of the creative decisions at Lucasfilm now.
It's a surprise to people because they believe that he's the... some people believe he's the only hope of making Star Wars good, not that he'd be responsible for making it abysmal.
Right, he just renewed Ahsoka, which is the second lowest viewed Star Wars show. He hired the Acolyte, which got cancelled.
But it's with his character and he's
exactly
got some story to tell.
Exactly. So it's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's just self-fulfilling nonsense. Like, he's just there for himself. He's 100% in business for himself.
The world has a lot of, I guess, faith in him, as Star Wars fans do, because of Clone Wars and stuff. But like EFAB, we've just never liked his work, because we didn't watch the Clone Wars.
Well, but even if you were to point to something like Clone Wars, that was a decade ago that ended. At least the original run. It's been a long time since then.
Well, some people might give him credit for Mandalorian season 1, I guess.
Okay.
We don't.
Not going to give him credit for anything.
Favreau's the guy.
Favreau was the showrunner, right? So, like, if anybody's going to get credit, which I wouldn't want to give.
I mean, I could totally buy into the idea that, like, Favreau was in charge of seasons 1 and 2, and then Filoni took over for season 3, and look what we got.
I would go to bat for Filoni that he's responsible for all 3 of them. I'm sure he is.
He was executive producer. He directed some episodes, so I don't
want to take it away from him.
Means anything.
I just don't think it's a particularly great achievement anyway. To be honest with you, the biggest achievement of season 1 is the cinematographer, whoever it was, and they clearly fired because he was not a part of season 3. This is no fucking way.
Yeah. Just before we start, actually, there was a big super chat that came in here. I just wanted to read it out. Charles Johnson, my 13-year-old son and I love Critical Drinker. I do a Scottish accent and say to him, "Go away now," and he chuckles every time. Thank you, Drinker, for making my son and I laugh and for educating him on the terrors of the message. Well, I do my best. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, if I could save you a bit of money by not going to see terrible movies, then hey, I've done my job. But hey, Agatha Harkness is out, everyone. Are we excited?
Whoa.
It's there. We've experienced the first episode. I know there's 2 that got released. I couldn't bring myself to watch 2 episodes.
Oh, me and Fringy watched both of them.
Oh, did you? Oh, you can educate me then.
God.
Oh, you should have. You know what? You should have seen the second one for the show because there's a song part that you just. Yeah,
there is a song in it, and it's really, really cringy.
It was more.
Oh no!
It's a 5-minute song. Oh.
I mean, I was seeing people in chat talking about this, saying like they've been watching episode 1 and they were liking it so far. They liked the vibes of the fake pop show. Like, I'm not sure what to draw from that, but some people are easily duped, I suppose. Sure. No, I found episode 1 just an absolute chore to get through.
Yep.
I'm done with the whole like, oh, it's a full TV show and like, all right, what's real and what isn't? Like, what is this crazy reality that she's trapped inside? Of course, we know exactly what her deal is. We've seen WandaVision.
Everything you get from her in the first episode's first portion is flushed away.
Yes,
and also it's like, but why are you building a mystery when everybody who's watching the show knows that she's not a detective? Like, everybody knows that it's real. The whole thing came across to me as it felt like a cynical attempt to essentially try and recapture what people pointed to liking in WandaVision of like the sort of parody homage to certain things in television. But like this one was stylistically like devoid of anything, right? It didn't like the opening title sequence, right, where they had the character names and everything. Like, I watched that and I was like, I bet you people think this is cool, but what was it? They just went out and shot like, oh, we'll just shoot the ground and then we'll shoot like a little water tower and then we'll come up with some stupid name for it as a TV show. This is really clever and cool. But it's not. It's crap and pointless.
No,
sorry.
No, it should have been played straight. This detective show should have gone on for 2, possibly 3 episodes, in my opinion. They should have played it straight, and they should have. Well, I think Catherine Hahn also should have been told, Catherine, stop overacting. Stop over. Just act like a normal human being, and really kind of like centralize it as a mystery, because you could have done something genuinely clever with this, in as much as made them start to investigate the mystery of the body that was discovered, the body that was going to turn out to be Wanda Maximoff. This body would intrinsically link to pulling Agatha out of this spell. But nothing made any sense, because from the very start, you had the most ridiculous exposition. The very first lines that are dumped is this crazy exposition, just like, what? And then they go off into the wood and they talk about the dead body and finding the dead body and this is this. And then she turns and says, but is the body dead?
So with a lot of this stuff, what they're doing is like they're riffing on like the tropes of the crime genre, especially Scandinavian crime. So like I get the clumsy attempt that they were making to just make fun of that with, as you say, the really obvious exposition about this character being a maverick detective who got suspended and brought back because she's the only one who can solve the case. It's all cliche stuff, and it's like, okay, fine, but it's so ham-fisted and so obvious that they're playing up for laughs that it's like you can't even buy into this reality that they're presenting to you for a second. Whereas with WandaVision, they sort of made it work because, you know, family sitcoms from the 50s and 60s were super exaggerated and you didn't really know what was going on. But you do exactly know who this character is. You know why she's here. You know this is not the reality that she's actually living in. It's all fake. What do you even do with it? So it tries to straddle this weird middle ground where nothing really works. It doesn't work as an actual dramatic cop show where they're investigating something, and she has to almost like solve the riddle to get herself out of this fake reality, because it all just gets erased anyway. She just kind of she gets told by Aubrey Plaza's character, like, yeah, this isn't real, just get out of it. And so she just kind of rips off her disguise, and there she is, she's back.
But she does that
was fucking easy.
The very first conversation they have.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza comes in, she tells her chief of police to eat her ass, and he just like, and then walks off. Just like, what? And then Aubrey Plaza's just like, oh, is this what you're pretending to be? Is this what you envisage? You know?
Yeah.
She's just telling her. Everyone just kept telling her, and the way that she just picked the brooch up immediately, she didn't even approach the brooch as if it was any kind of evidence. And then the very next scene, because she is going to approach the body as evidence, she's got the gloves on now. So they didn't even attempt to do anything as if there was a legitimate mystery to be solved. Then they go to the house. She's in the house. Oh, look, this is my kid's bedroom. Is my kid dead? Is my kid been taken away by the father? Who is the kid? Doesn't matter, because you're out the fucking show now. You're out the show already, and it's like nothing mysteries, nothing at all. And it should have been something that could have been played very interestingly, because with WandaVision, we didn't know what was going on. Like, why is she in these different shows? Why is she gone? 1 week she's in that show. Wait a minute. Now next week it's like a decade later, but in a similar sort of theme show. What is actually going on here? There's a mystery there that was interesting for the first few episodes until it came out. The mystery. Then then it absolutely fell apart. And this one, we know that he should have reversed it, because we now know the mystery. And it should have been Catherine Hahn's Agatha that knows nothing. So she's got to play it straight. Everyone has got to be really earnest. And then the mystery is there is one of them. There is one of those people, or maybe a couple, and they're the ones who are linking. They're the ones that are in on what's going on with her and viewing what they're going on with her. Because the Aubrey Plaza bit ultimately made no sense. No sense at all, because Aubrey, if she wanted to take her out, could have taken her out at any time.
Exactly.
Well, apparently she's not allowed to. Like, I don't know if episode 2 fleshes this out a little bit.
You tell me, because that's all over the fucking place. That
one. At the end of this episode, it's like, I hurt you, but I can't kill you for some reason.
But then
she burst into the house, though, to try and get her. Like, and then she's like, oh, wait, no, I can't. I can't and I won't.
So, like, what's the point in holding a knife at her throat if you can't actually hurt her?
They needed an action scene for the first episode. That's why. It's the same reason that it's because Ad's talking about the idea of, well, imagine if you expanded it out for longer. It's like, that was probably never entertained. It was only ever going to be for the one episode, so that they could then have that as a gimmick, be done with it, and then move on to the show in earnest, which is basically what the second episode is. And it's funny, Drinker pointed out before, like, oh yeah, you know, kind of parodying the over-the-top exposition. The exposition in episode 2 is like remarkable. Every time that they meet their they're gathering their group to go on their little adventure, and every time they meet them, Agatha will just be like, hey, I'm just going to describe aspects of you and your problems and like your history in the most clunky way possible.
Don't you love to when Az and Drinker keep saying Aubrey Plaza? What's her character's name?
Aubrey Plaza.
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, yeah, like as people are pointing out in chat, she kind of just tends to play the same character in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, God, you remember Game of Thrones, different TV shows. You remember every single character, and in the MCU, every single character. And now we just know it's, like Az said, Aubrey Plaza. Who is she?
Yeah.
I've no idea. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you another character's name in the show.
It's funny, like as you know, when you mentioned as well, like Catherine Hahn, like tell her not to overact. Like, is that her following direction, or just how she acts?
I don't know, because if that's how she's portraying the, you know, maybe she's been told just go a bit over the top, and then she's been told, oh yeah, that's great. That's a terrible direction, awful direction.
Because I mean, I'm not super familiar with her work. I can't recall her ever doing a serious dramatic role and like turning in a normal performance. It's always been comedy stuff, and like it's all very over the top, and I don't know, maybe that's all she does. I'm not sure, but like, again, I couldn't buy into this fake reality of the cop show even for a second, because she was just fucking gobbling up the scenery in every single scene that she was in.
So how does that differentiate her, that character of Agnes, from Agatha? Because at the end of WandaVision, I don't know if they watched her own fucking show.
Probably not.
She's just meant to be a sort of busybody neighbor. She's reverted her to like a busybody neighbor.
Yeah.
That's just going to be chilled out. And then the only explanation we get for this detective show by her neighbor is, well, the last 3 days you've kind of gone a bit, true detective for the last 3 days.
You got a lot of questions right at this point of like, oh, didn't all the people in the town knew that she was evil, right? Like they were all there at the end of WandaVision, and also where's Sword? Are they not keeping an eye on this? And it's like, I bet you if you ask them, it's like, oh, Sword, what's that? They're like, they don't even remember their own actions that they created.
But I don't know if this gets answered in episode 2, but the thing I was perplexed by was like, okay, these people are in on it. They know that she's like this evil witch, and she's been reverted to like a kind of fake reality where she believes that she's just a regular old neighbor, just going about her day-to-day life, and everyone lives with her. Wouldn't you move the fuck out of there as quickly as possible? Absolutely. Because it's like, okay, she's nice for now, right? Because she's under this spell and she's been like, her memories have been wiped. That could easily fucking be undone. I don't want to take the chance. I don't want to be within 1,000 fucking miles of this woman. Because she could just as easily like murder all of us if she remembers who she is.
Yeah, really.
Imagine if we had this cool little detective show. There's a legitimate mystery to be solved. They're all playing it really straight. Even Agatha playing it straight down the line. It goes on for 2, maybe 2.5 episodes, and at the end of that, when she comes out of it and she wakes up as Agatha, and she's literally in a desolate town because everyone's gone. Because they just all left, and now this town which got absolutely annihilated. It makes no sense, by the way, that the residents would even live with her with what they went through with Wanda, because Wanda just tortured them. So if she woke up and she's in this desolate town, the town of Westfield or whatever it's called, and just every house is abandoned, shops abandoned, and she's literally walking around this godforsaken fucking place, just trying to attach the pieces of a memory back again, and then realizes who she is. Then you could meet her up with Aubrey Plaza's character, Aubrey Plaza, and then you got something. You got at least some sort of launching pad. But
yeah, I think they wanted like Westview, WandaVision. Like it felt like they were trying to tap into WandaVision nostalgia. Honestly, like kind of like at the end where they were cycling through all of the variations, right, from all of the TV shows like 80s, 70s, 60s. That definitely felt like member berries, which is kind of funny for a show that's only like a few years old. That you would have this member berries thing of like, yeah, remember WandaVision?
But it is like, because like people have a short memory, especially for shows like this that are so forgettable ultimately, and so they do have to remind us. Like WandaVision was a thing. Remember that? Like that was the golden era of Marvel TV shows. It was going to kick off a brave new world. And
and now this is the first, I think it's the first live action project that they put under the Marvel television brand, which they explicitly signaled was, you don't have to watch it. That's why it's called Marvel Television. Yes. That's like the point of the brand. That's crazy that they just openly admit, you don't have to see this.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Yeah. So people were just, living next door to her when she was a neighbor, like under Wanda's spell, and then recently she's been acting out this cop drama fantasy. So from their perspective, she's like marching around acting like a police detective, like walking into buildings like she owns the place, demanding information from people, trying to get into, I guess, whatever is the equivalent of the local police station, as if she's a cop there, and they're just going along with it to humor her.
I mean, yeah, the fact that this has been running for 3 years, they just tolerate the crazy witch who's under another crazy witch's spell, imagining things. None of that makes any sense.
No.
Yeah, because she asked her neighbor, how long have I been here for? He goes, 3 years. So the past 3 years you've been living next to this, this psychotic. She could snap at any time. Like,
I like as well. I don't know if this was playing up to the sort of cop or Scandinavian crime tropes, but like the bit where the warlock guy, who's like, I don't know, he's probably like 20 years old or something, breaks into her house, steals something, runs away, and she gives chase to him. And like somehow a fucking middle-aged woman is able to catch up to like a guy who's like 20 and clearly like way faster than her.
16 in episode 2.
I don't know if that's a crime drama trope or if it's just a Marvel trope at this point. I don't even know. Like, it's so goofy.
She's a witch. She's magic.
There is the trope of the person who's running away getting hit by a car.
Yeah,
there is that. but she also had to negotiate her way down the house, fell down, rolled down the stairs, then had to get her bearings to run after him. And she's like 5 yards behind him when he gets hit.
Yeah, well, it's the bit where you see her like drop down, having climbed a fence, and I just thought I would fucking love to see you try to scale that fence in real life. It would be like fucking Hot Fuzz, where he just like careens into it and demolishes it.
I almost didn't consider anything we saw in that opening to be real in any way. Like all of it can just be in her head, or is it because the kid?
She captured him. Because
because
he
treats it all as though it did actually happen when they're in the next episode. So that means what? That
he was in her house and she gave pursuit and caught him in reality.
Yeah.
And then she was like, quote unquote, interrogating him, and he was sort of humoring it as just because they went in a police station.
No, he was tied up. He was then tied up on the chair in her closet. That's the interrogation room.
So he would have known she was absolutely fucking nuts the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he just didn't say anything.
It doesn't even make sense spatially, because like she has him cuffed and in the interrogation room at the police station. Then she's told to go home, but the police station literally is her home because it's in her house. But then she gets in her car and drives to her home.
Because no rules
she's already
were established.
Then she just drives around the block or something.
This is why you needed this to be over 2 or 3 episodes, because no rules are established.
Yeah, well, that's why there's that painting, right? Because he's actually in her house looking at her.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
And they're probably like, "Man, that's pretty clever, huh?" It's like, yeah, but what about all the other things that you can't?
I was going to say nothing lines up. It's just like, okay, and again, everything she says and does in that opening sequence, it's just you throw it all away because the character you get once she wakes up, so to speak, is completely different.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a dead end. It's worthless. It's actually worthless. It doesn't tell us anything about her.
It's especially worthless as well because we've seen the trailer, and so we know what this show actually is. We know it's all about the witches, and it's all goofy and quirky, and it's got all the like flamboyant song and dance numbers and stuff. Why open it with this like gritty cop drama shit when we know it's not going to go anywhere?
Exactly.
When everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody knows it's fake. They all know who this character is. So yeah, why bother? It's actually just a waste of time. It's just a total waste of time until the story actually begins.
So that's why you have a mystery as to who knows what's going on and who's potentially the odd one out. That's why you create a little bit of the story. But they didn't. They wanted to rush through it to get her out, to be Agatha again, so they could get on with the proper story, as you said. So ultimately, episode 1 is a fucking waste of everyone's time.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like,
so what did we get out of episode 2? Like, maybe you guys clue me in. What happens?
So episode 2 is basically them assembling their little group so that they can walk the witch's road so that she can get her powers, which seems to be like the big pitch for the whole series. So basically she just goes to a bunch of places to meet witches, all of whom have like some problem that she declares in really clunky exposition. And then they all like team up, and then they go there at the end. That's basically the gist of it.
As an example, one of them, she's like, "Okay, so you show my team." And she's like, "Absolutely not. I'll never do that." And it's like, "Yeah, but if you do, we can get rid of that spell that you've had on you for years that prevents you from being able to do spells. Remember?" And then she's like, "Oh yeah, that would be if only I could get rid of that spell." That's like how the scenes go. Each of them have some kind of potential that's unrealized, and she'll just explain it to them.
So this is fucking Wizard of Oz, isn't it? Like they've got to go down the yellow brick road. They've got their group of people. Each one is missing something, and they'll get that at the end of their road.
Well, yeah,
they'll get it on the way probably. That's going to be.
Well, yeah, because it'll obviously be. Well, look, it doesn't give you what you thought you wanted, but it gives you what you needed. I presume that's what it's going to be. But I mean, it was very like that episode was much more. Oh, she still doesn't make any sense because doesn't. This is why this show actually made me pretty fucking angry. At the end, when she's fighting against Aubrey Plaza, she Aubrey Plaza is saying, "I can't kill you. You can't kill me. Dem dares the rules." Even though she tried to kill her immediately that she came in,
and she was bleeding.
Then she says, I'm going to get you. And Agatha says, no, you don't want to kill me when I'm powerless. you want me to get my powers back so you can kill me when I'm powered up, because then that'll be more satisfying. So she's like, yes, even though we've just established I can't kill you, but I'm going to go now so you can get your powers. Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell the Salem 7 that you're back complos mentis and you know who you are. So they're going to come kill you, even though they're not allowed to kill you because we just established that the witches aren't allowed to kill each other. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck is going on in this show?
I think the thing you're meant to take away from that scene is that Aubrey Plaza desperately wants to fuck her.
Yeah,
by any means necessary.
Did you know
you don't have a heart? Yeah. Yes, I do. It's black and it beats for you. Then she licks her hand to heal her wound and walks out.
Yeah. Then she it's all innuendos and lingering glances and stuff all throughout the episode, and it's like super obvious and super like on the nose. And again, it's just like, what are you even trying to do with this character? So she wants to kill her, but she also wants to have sex with her. Where are we at with this? I don't get her motivations here.
Well, I just love that in the scene, everything has to be explained to these two people who know everything about their situation so that we can understand it. But then once we understand it such that she shouldn't even have come here in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very Phase 4-5 Marvel writing.
It's just awful. Just pure awful.
It's funny because I feel like you could actually, if you were half self-aware as a writer of this show, you could have fun with the tropes of shitty Marvel writing and just be like, hey, I'm here to deliver some exposition to you because that's what we're expected to do at this point in the story, right? Or just something like that, like play on the expectations. But no, I think this is just actual because they consider to be good writing.
Exactly. It's what they think is this, because they'd be like, well, yeah, we need to explain to the viewer that this is this character's backstory and this is why she's motivated to, be part of the group. And they actually they don't realize that there are other less clunky ways, less obvious, more subtle ways of conveying this information to the viewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called clever writing.
Did you guys know when she cut her with the knife, she was okay, you're weak. Well, only physically, but you have no magic.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, there should have even been a fight
because
she had no magic and Aubrey Plaza did.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza should have squashed her like a fucking bug.
Well, yeah, if you've got magic, like, okay, fine, I'll turn your brain into a fucking lump of concrete or something. Like, if that's what we're doing with magic, but obviously I can't kill you anyway, so what's the point in even coming here with a knife? But
did Aubrey Plaza know she didn't have magic when she went for her first attack? Because
she's been appearing in her fantasies, so she's obviously trying to like tell her that she's
that appeal to being like, you'd rather fight me when I have my magic. It's like, apparently not.
Whatever. See, I could get the whole idea of like maybe Agatha is completely oblivious, doesn't know who she really is, and she thinks she's just living this normal life, and then fucking Aubrey Plaza shows up and like attacks her with magic and all this crazy shit, and it's like, I need you to remember who you really are. And like, she's like, no, I'm just a normal person. Why are you doing this weird stuff to me? And then when she's got her at the brink of death, then her instincts kicks in, her magical powers or something comes back, or at least her awareness of who she is comes back. And that's it. Aubrey Plaza can say like, all right, mission accomplished. I wanted you to remember who you were so that you can get your powers back or whatever.
Did you see did you hear the foreshadowing? She said to Aubrey Plaza in that fight, I could take your magic, but it would kill me.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So one of the witches is going to take the magic from another witch as a sacrifice to get the power to do the thing to save the others.
On that note, as in episode 2, one of the witches they're trying to get on the team says, I'm not joining because if you get your powers back, all you're going to do is take mine. And then Agatha says, no, because I can't take your power unless you hit me with your power first. That's like the loophole of how it works, which is
I'm so fucking tired, man.
I'm pretty sure that's a rule they made in WandaVision. If you watch, she has to wait for someone to attack her before she can steal their power. But she tells the witch this, and then the witch is like, oh, okay. I was like, why would you? She's just lying to you. Why would you believe that? Like, don't worry, I couldn't do that.
Well, and then at the end of the episode, it turned out that her plan was to prompt them to attack her so that she could steal their powers anyway. So
she would have died.
She would have died. Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense.
None of it makes any sense.
Yeah, but then episode 2, she's telling the other witches to attack her. She wants to absorb their powers, but then she can't absorb Aubrey Plaza's powers. So it's
that's what we just said. That if they didn't attack her at the end of episode 2, she would have died. She's got no power to absorb.
Like it doesn't even follow. It just seemed like it was for momentary drama, so that they could all get mad. Like, you tricked us, you bamboozled. But then it's like, oh no, but the bad guys are coming, so we got to go to the Witch's Road. Let's go.
I actually have an explanation for this. Jack Schaefer wrote Black Widow.
Well, that's it. Yeah. We can all go home, boys.
So, did you see episode 2?
Not yet.
This is the thing. You couldn't have known. But I wish in a way you had, because there's just a scene where a bunch of 40-year-old women all sing a pop song, and it's.
But it's meant to be like an ancient witch song, but it doesn't sound like one. It sounds like a song that was written today.
I hated it. It was the worst.
It was really bad.
So fake too. Like, obviously all of their singing voices have been replaced, and I was so distracted looking at everyone's lips, being like, God, that's not matching up even at all. Like, and it's just like, oh, whatever, good luck.
And while this is happening, while they're singing this song upstairs, there are a bunch of evil witches trying to break into the house.
Yeah, they're the fucking witch ring wraiths coming trying to kill them.
So they're singing this song. Meanwhile, there's all this chaos happening upstairs, and nobody notices or cares. And for some reason, the guy just stays upstairs while all of this is happening instead of immediately running down to Agatha.
I posited in my video about this, right? Like, who was this show even intended for?
I think it was intended for a presumed much larger WandaVision fan base. I think that's what it was, and I wonder how much of it is a case of wrong time, WandaVision was the first Marvel project after the longest halt that they had on making anything since basically the beginning of this series. It's overrated. WandaVision is incredibly overrated. I'm not sure how much people rewatch it or anything like that. And I get the impression it was like, oh, WandaVision was so successful, and Agatha All Along, man, everybody likes that song. Let's do a show. And then they realized too late, oh shit, who is this actually for?
I think there's an element of that. I think it's definitely, it was commissioned in that time when they thought that everything they did was pure gold. And so WandaVision, great. The MCU is riding high. And so we can have essentially a spin-off of a spin-off, and that will then give rise to more spin-offs, and people will just eat it up, and it'll be great. And obviously things have changed massively in the past 4 or 5 years. So I think there's definitely an element of that. But I think as well, when I look at the cast is essentially a bunch of middle-aged women. They make such a big deal out of how fabulous the wardrobe choices were, and how often the characters are going to change clothes. They've got these big song and dance numbers in it. And I just think, is this somehow designed to appeal to middle-aged women who also have kind of an interest in superhero movies? Because I've got to be honest, that ain't a big market right there. But that seems to be what it's for.
That's the trick. You think that, if you think logically, that's who it looks like it's pointing towards. But you know that middle-aged women aren't interested in Marvel. They're not interested in this. They're not subscribed to Disney Plus. So you have to take that logic and go, oh, this is written for Jack Schaefer. If that's all it's written for, it's written by the showrunner for her. There is the scene where they're sat down in the house after Aubrey Plaza brings the pizza, because every fucking thing written by a woman's got to have a scene where they're sat down eating food, talking about their fucking bullshit.
What is that? Yeah, why is there always eating?
Bro, okay, you guys haven't seen episode 2. There's a scene where they talk about eating candles and how nice the candles taste, and how everyone should like the scent and the smell and taste of candles. Yeah, when that scene was playing, my brain left my body and I started watching Iron Man. Just
retreat to my happy place.
The conversation when they're eating the pizza is about using the wrong foundation brush. This is Jack Schaefer writing for Jack Schaefer. That's it. She's her own fucking audience.
It's a little bit. What was the number of? I remember it was when the Marvels came out that there was a breakdown for the demographics that had gone to see it on opening weekend. Wasn't it 70% of them were men that had gone.
I don't think it was as much as 70,
weekend.
but it was definitely still the majority. And
it's
yeah.
like 55% menish.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, that's always going to be your demographic ultimately. Like, it doesn't matter what brand of Marvel product you produce. Like, you can make it as feminized as you want, but it's still Marvel. It's still superheroes. It's still comic book stuff. It's going to be predominantly men who go to see it. It doesn't matter what you do.
Well,
and it's like they're doing everything they can to like alienate that audience. Like, not many guys are going to find this appealing.
No, this isn't made for men. It's not made for people like superheroes. It's not made for people that like Marvel. It's not made for those. It's clearly clearly not. There aren't any elements within this show that are attached to that. This is just made for Jack fucking Schaefer.
I guess the problem is it gets really awkward when, you know, because it's like, oh, well, is there a problem with that? It's like, well, when you spend so much money and you need to make that money back, it's a problem for you guys. That's what the problem is.
That is exactly the problem. Like, if this had been some low budget thing that had done, you know, for maybe like 30, 40, 50 million dollars, like, okay, fine. I'm willing to bet this is well north of 150 million to make this
probably
show.
at least over $100 million, because all of these projects cost so much money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem right there. It's like, okay, you know, you can definitely make these like smaller shows for a more niche audience for sure, but the budget has to reflect that. And if you're still pumping insane amounts of money into it and expecting like the appropriate audience to come and see it, they won't. Not when it's like this. They're not going to be interested.
You guys saw it too. Remember, according to Aubrey Plaza, this is the gayest Marvel project to date. During the show, going to be a gay explosion.
Funny you should mention that. Let me see if I can bring up the interview.
Oh boy.
Chemistry between you and Catherine in the first episode, I describe it as.
Just before we go on, can we get this guy like a throat lozenge or something? Like, can we club together and just help this man?
He's drunker than me.
Like, he doesn't even sound drunk. It's just like his voice sounds like this. That's like fucking Smeagol. It's like, I expect him to start talking about stupid hobbitses. Anyway.
Law and Order meets Basic Instinct meets Bound.
Go on. You're speaking my language. All of that. Yes. More. Yeah, 100%.
I love how she keeps rolling her eyes like, oh, get this fucking retard away from me. I honestly feel like she's like, I have to play along with this fucking stupid line of questioning, but okay, fine, let's go on with it.
100%.
Get gayer and gayer as each episode goes.
Yes, darling, but I can't tell you how. I can't tell you anything, but yes, it will be a gay explosion by the end of it.
Yeah, so we're gonna get our gay explosion at the end.
Has she got a cane? Is she?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's kind of it. Oh, all right. Like, I guess that's an accessory.
You know what? It's weird though, because it's like, when did this become suddenly the benchmark for whether a show is good or not? Like, how gay is it? Like, because I think if I was a showbiz correspondent, it's like, okay, I've got Aubrey Plaza at my disposal. I can do what I want with her. Right, I'm going to ask her anything. Like, I would have so many questions about like the writing, the characters, the
issue between you and Catherine in the first episode.
Stop! Go away!
Go away now!
I'd have so many questions about all those aspects of the story, the production, even. Like, apparently they used a lot of practical effects. Like, ask her questions like that. No, how gay is it?
Why? Who cares? This is a rhetorical question, right? Because we all know the answer. They're all obsessed with it. And by the way, that guy is gay. Surprise, surprise. So of course it's the same question. He asked the same question to all of them. I'm here. This is the gayest Marvel show there has ever been. Agreed. And he goes agreed at the end. Notice that. He says agreed at the end to get them to say yes.
Because it's just so reductive, because it's like it almost invalidates all the work that's gone into every other aspect of the show. To just bring it all down to like, well, how gay is it? Like,
MauLer had a great response to this in the real BBC. MauLer said you should ask him what do you think's the straightest.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I mean,
how straight is this show?
A pretty interesting conversation. But the thing is, I wouldn't even be looking to trap the actors, which is what I think Az just highlighted. He's kind of doing. He's trying to make sure they have to answer the question, and they're all. We know how they work. They're all very much like, I don't want to rock the boat here. So yeah, it's really gay. Is that right? Did I say it right? You know, okay, good. And then just leave. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I used to be a part of red carpets where I'd answer questions about the movie in terms of its artistry, not whether it's gay. But I guess that's where we're at right now. So I'll just nod my head and be like, yes, gay, I guess.
I'm sure. Like, I don't know if like
a little
this
bit
is.
by.
Well, yeah. I don't know if it's like, you know, he's been given the talking points from Marvel. So it's like, these are the questions we want you to ask because this is the aspect of the show that we really want to push, or if it's just this guy doing it off his own back or what. I'm not sure how it works. But either way, like it's not a effective strategy, because to market it on that and say like, well, you know, we've got no idea about like the quality of the writing, the characters, the story, anything like that, but we know it's super gay. Like, okay, well, how many people watching that interview are going to think, well, sign me up. Like, I can't wait to watch this. Like, no, the normal person is going to be more interested in like, well, what is this about? Like, what's the journey that your character goes on? How much work went into it? What was your experiences behind it? For the small proportion of people who even care about these fucking stupid showbiz interviews, that's what they're going to be looking for. To market it on being gay, you're really going to appeal to a small proportion of your audience there.
It's a criticism shield. We know it's a criticism shield. So as soon as people start to criticize the show, which, having seen the first episode, it is very, very criticizable. And then they go, "Oh right, okay, you're critical of the show. You are a homophobe." Mm-hmm. So this is the tactics they've been doing all along. Look at the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Look, when the Acolyte was absolute garbage, terribly acted, terribly written, terribly produced, terribly directed, terribly edited. Sets look cheap as fuck. There's so much there. But what was the narrative? Oh, you're a bunch of racists against Amanda Stenberg.
And it gives them the opportunity, I suppose, to have a cheap dig at their critics and say, like, well, you're just homophobic or whatever. But like, it's still resulted in the show getting cancelled. So ultimately, it's not a win for the show. And
but it's a deflection. And what has just been announced? Leslie Helen's just got a new gig with a star-studded cast.
Why not?
Fell upwards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But it's like, I don't know. Like from my perspective, if I was the showrunner or the people like responsible for the marketing for this, rather than preemptively teeing up my excuses for why the show's going to fail and attack my critics, I probably want to give the show the best chance I could to succeed by like focusing on the actual good marketable parts of it, whatever they may be.
Don't give it to Jack Schaefer then. Give it to a competent writer that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Something that I've noticed over the last few years in terms of the way that like almost people anticipate Marvel movies or TV shows is that it feels like so little of it stems from like anticipation of what that story is going to be, but rather like aspects of the meta that are going to be informing it. The big one, obviously, oh, well, what's next? Where is this going next? Like, what team's going to get set up? Are the X-Men going to get set up? Are we going to see this character? Are we going to see this character getting set up? And it feels like another one that exists as well as, like, a vibe. It's like, what is the vibe that we're going for? And Secret Invasion, it's like, yeah, it's gritty and serious. And the Marvels, oh, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's like... It feels like so little of the focus is on like, well, shit, what kind of story we're going to be in for? Like, damn, I'm excited to see the characters go through these trials and tribulations and come out on the other side having learned a lesson, or we're going to go to really interesting places. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like as more and more time's gone on, there's been like less and less general interest in like, what is actually the story going to be? Who are these characters? What kind of journey are they going on? Which it's really bad because once it starts to go on for long enough, like people kind of don't even know what they're there for anymore. It's like, what actually am I here to watch these shows and movies for? Like, what's the story going to be? Who knows and who cares?
Well,
it's like you're perpetually setting up the next thing rather than enjoying the current thing.
Exactly. Yeah. People they're like watching it, but they're waiting until the post-credit scene to find out like what's going to happen next. It's a very weird way to engage with media. But it's something that Marvel's kind of cultivated especially over the last like 5 or 6 years, for sure.
So this is why Marvel TV's here, because it's saying you don't have to do any of that. there isn't going to be enough. But then you have to say, then why is there even an Agatha show?
Exactly.
Who wanted an Agatha show? Who called for it? Where's the demand? We haven't seen the fucking Fantastic Four, the X-Men. You haven't seen any of these characters in this universe at all, and we've got fucking Ironheart done and dusted nearly 2 years now. We've got fucking Agatha Harkness. You know, we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier shows.
Dude, remember when we first found out they were making Echo, Harkness, and
Echo! Oh my god, Echo!
And like we're now halfway through like the releasing of all of them. Like they were real. They actually decided to do it, and it happened. Like what?
Yeah,
what
there's still more to come,
awful
right? Like
decisions.
Ironheart's still coming. That's
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
they say it's coming, but yeah, this is the thing. Like from what guys like Chris Gore were saying, that the senior people at Marvel are very aware of the problems that they've created for themselves.
Yeah.
They're very aware that Phase 4 and 5 haven't worked, and what they've tried to push has been an absolute failure, especially the TV shows. And so they are trying to change course, but obviously there's a bunch of projects that were made years ago, Agatha Harkness being a perfect example, that they can't really change at this point. They kind of just have to grit their teeth, get it out, and just like take the pain in the short term and then move on to the better stuff later. So I kind of wouldn't be surprised if this is something they just want to get rid of. Like it's okay, we have to release it. Let's just get it out there, get over it, move past it to something better. I honestly am surprised they didn't just release it all at once.
Dump it,
Echo.
yeah.
I guess the problem though is that the meaningful thing in terms of like addressing the problems that existed with Phase 4 and 5, like really the big overarching one is the writing has been really, really bad. It's been really bad. Breaches of character constantly, absolutely insane plots, no desire to build a cohesive world, and thematically, a lot of the time, very confused, bizarre stories. Like that has to get fixed. If you do a Fantastic Four movie, but you've still got the same kind of writing, you're still going to run into the same kinds of problems.
Yeah. I just wanted to read a quick super chat that came in here as well from Moses. Like this for $100. He said, the only way I'd watch this garbage is if Aubrey Plaza was half naked the whole time, and it wouldn't be for the plot. I mean, you know.
Well, like the version of this that would work would probably be to play up the sex appeal and to actually have characters that are interesting. You know, if you want to have both of those, because I don't want to rule out a show about a witch's coven that would primarily be about women, because you know, if you want to go that direction, like a Charmed or fucking I don't know, whatever have you, but you can't be this. It can't be women talking about eating pizza candles and their feelings. Like it's insane.
And not one of them is under 40. I don't think. Like Aubrey Plaza is by far the youngest of the bunch, and she's
the team they assembled by the end. Drinker, one of them was fucking like 80. They got the old lady from
the lady from that 70s show.
Yeah, I was gonna say she was in what, but she was in.
No, I know. As she'll turn into fucking Aubrey Plaza.
But yeah, she was also in WandaVision as well, wasn't she? She was one of the villagers that was like trapped.
That was the only thing that was even happening in the opening sequence that I think was supposed to keep the audience somewhat like, is like, look, it's the person, remember person from WandaVision? Now they're this person. And you're like, okay, yeah.
Who was absolutely traumatized.
She was the one who said, please kill her.
This is what I don't understand. Like, what was happening? So, take for example Norm. Remember that moment in WandaVision where Vision got Norm out of the spell, and he was like terrified. Remember that guy? And it's like, he's just in a pawn shop, and she's talking to him, and he's like engaging with her as though, was he actually doing that, or was she imagining all of it?
No rules set up.
She probably was talking to him, but like he was like probably terrified,
screaming,
oblivious or something. This is the thing, like all the male characters in this are just absolute pussies and they all get treated like shit. Obviously, I mean, it's pretty much what I'd expect from Marvel at this point, but it's like there's no reckoning for any of them. Like there's no sense that they've changed or matured as people or anything. They're just like, they're just punching bags really to make fun of.
Well, now a main character is an asshole. Who wants to take people's powers and shit, and it's like, what are we doing with this? Like, is she going to be by the end of the season have a new lease on life and be like, you know what, I should be nice or nicer?
I'm not sure if it's going in that angle. I get the impression that it's probably they still want it to be maybe like anti-hero, right? Rather than, though I suppose it's funny that she was the villain of WandaVision when Wanda was the villain of WandaVision. Like, I do find it hilarious that their show is called Agatha All Along, and that was the song that was super successful. It's like, what did she actually do? What was her all along? It's like, oh, was she she kind of messed and trolled. Like she trolled Wanda.
No,
basically.
I don't accept that answer. I'd be like, more specific. More specific. What did she do?
Yeah,
Tell me.
I guess. Well, the one thing was the dog, right? That was the worst thing that she did. Was she killed but I don't even know if the dog was real because it was in the magic world. Like, it wasn't even a real dog. It was a holographic magic dog.
Man, I love storytelling.
Thematically, that show was fucked.
Oh, that show's WandaVision that was miserable getting towards the end. That was really I liked Wanda before that, and then they ruined her.
Yeah,
say
it's
poor
nice to carry
Fringy
over
stop
into
asking
Multiverse
questions.
of Madness, though. No, not Multiverse. Yeah, Multiverse.
Well, Multiverse of Madness at this point, it almost seems like it is the broadly accepted view that that film is bad, and at the very least, everybody accepts that they destroyed Wanda's character. The real truth, though, is that she was already ruined in WandaVision. But it's true they did drag her through. Like, they dragged her through the dirt again in that movie as well. Like, to the point that character, I don't care anymore. Like, whatever, if because she's going to show up again. But
she'll be back. Fucking no one's ever dead in this.
Yeah.
But here's, like, how you were saying, like, the point about, like, you could not move outside the TV shows and you'd be fine with this. You'd be pretty fucking confused why Wanda is fucking dead now and got crushed to death and then just showed up here.
And also, why did it take like over 2 years before that manifested for Agatha? Why? Because that was,
was it Aubrey Plaza arriving is what did it? So
I mean,
when she arrived.
But was it? I thought it was the guy. I thought he showed up and
he's meant.
I don't know if that's going to be. I mean, it could be that they just write it that way for a second there, and I stopped myself, and you're all going to say it too, but I was like, well, but that's really coincidental. You wouldn't want to write it that way, would you? You want to make it all downstream of Aubrey Plaza finally finding her would make the most sense. You wouldn't want to make it so that she came in coincidentally at the same time as this guy tried to free her. Maybe it's all connected. This is why I got to wait until fucking season is over to understand what the hell is even going on.
Yeah.
But I think by the time you hit episode 7, 8, 9. 1 and 2 will be completely forgotten in terms of what even happened in it. Like from the people who wrote it.
I just saw the song.
Oh, you watched the song? Yeah, pretty
on
bad.
Twitter.
Huh?
Yeah.
You need to just quickly go watch Iron Man punch terrorists, okay? It'll help you out.
I need to see some stuff explode, okay?
Yeah,
happier times.
Um,
Or as it drags on, so it's like a 5 minute.
It's really long, yeah.
It's like 5 minutes long, man. I'm like,
and you're right. It sounds like the people singing it like 20, and it doesn't marry up to the voices at all, and the song is just embarrassing.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity completely wasted, which is that's just the standard at this point, but. It's like an ancient ritualistic song for witches in a coven. He's like, oh, you could do so much with that. And you can make the magic generate some kind of sounds that are unique as well as instruments that are much older. But no, they just do a fucking pop song that's really lame and annoying. And it's just like, why don't you care about doing anything right? It's just, thematically relevant, but oh well.
I was going to say, speaking of shitty songs and cringe moments,
Dear God.
Wigs of Power delivered something like that where we got Disa screaming. I wish I had the clip of it. Actually, I was combing YouTube for it and I can't find it yet, but like there's a moment in this goddamn episode, man. The gist is that, like, Durin realizes that his dad's been possessed by the ring and he's delving far too deeply into the mines. And so he and Disa resolve to stop the miners from getting in there and doing any more delving. So it's just her stood there when they show up. And how can I even describe it? She just turns around and she does this weird chant, which is pretty much like the power of many moment. Is she like trying to stop them from mining by like, is she trying to like crush the mines or with a scene? Well, let me explain. So she does that twice, actually, stamps her feet, like does the whole like moment, and they look at her like, is that supposed to scare us off? And she's like, no, this is. And then right on cue, a bunch of bats come down from the ceiling and chase them off.
What?
Now, that's the best way I can describe
what happens.
it. These are dwarf miners who are used to working in environments like this, but they're terrified by a bunch of bats and they just run away.
Yeah, they run off like they gotta get out of there. They're so terrified of these bats coming to get them.
And then Durin, the fourth teleports in and just goes, "I love you," and she's like, "Love me later." And then they straight up do a hero pose together where he's got his axe and she's like, "Huh," and she's like, "This is just the beginning. They'll be back."
Yeah, we'll find out,
and we'll be ready. This is painful.
I feel like for me, the overarching sort of negative feeling that I had watching the whole episode was, man, Galadriel, imagine if you told Celebrimbor that Halbrand was Sauron. Imagine if you just told him this. None of
but
this
he knows. He fucking knows already.
Yeah.
Oh god.
This whole episode is just spinning your wheels.
It's actually it's genuinely bizarre, like the way that they've constructed this. Basically, the episode ends with the idea that it's almost like a race against time for Celebrimbor to finish building the rings for men, right as Adar is about to invade Eregion. Like, right as that's happening. Why? Why would it be? Why?
The rings for men aren't going to save Eregion. Like,
No.
this is just a completely tangential thing.
It's like not even the point, right? It's that they'll be made just in time, and then Celebrimbor will realize, oh no, everything's gone wrong, and then he'll get killed, and then that'll be been
wrong about everything. Wah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
I mean, he's gone at this point. Like, he is completely like delusional. Sauron is able to project things that aren't real around him, so that he's convinced to just go back to work by himself.
Well, like, it doesn't even make any sense. He hears what sounds like the siege like alarm, and then he goes outside, and it's daytime when it was nighttime, and it's like, dude, what do you think is actually happening right now? Clearly, you are not well. What if he said to Sauron, you know, I think I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep. Then what? I guess he'd have no rings.
Yeah. Well, it's weird as well because you know, Sauron is now in the guise of, is it Anatar?
Yeah.
The bringer of gifts. Yeah. He has risen through the ranks and he has failed upwards quicker than fucking
Jack Schaefer.
Yeah, Jack Schaefer. Any feminist activist in Hollywood, basically. So now he's essentially the de facto leader of Eregion. He can issue orders to people. He can govern in Celebrimbor's stead. Just because he said, "Trust me, bro." Celebrimbor said it's okay that I'm in charge of everything now, and all the other elves are just like, "Yeah, well, I'm convinced. I suppose sounds good to me."
I found this episode to be quite sloppy in terms of a lot of things, like of setting things up. Like, I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. The elf ranger guy,
Arondir.
Yeah. Where he fights some orcs and then he finds a map that basically tells him to go to Eregion, and then we don't see him for the rest of the episode.
That's it. They just need to remind you that he's there.
Yeah, remind you that he exists, and that when he shows up at Eregion when they have the big battle, it's like, see, it made sense. Some orcs were carrying a map that told him to go there. Like, really?
There's so many. This is the frustrating thing about the show. Like, even if you put aside the shitty acting and the horrible dialogue and all that stuff, like, structurally it is so fragmented and it is so disparate. You've essentially just got a whole bunch of different story strands that don't really intersect with each other. And it's just a bunch of different things going on in different places. None of it feels like there's any real connection to any of it. And it's so boring to watch.
Like, it drags and drags and drags. Like, the stuff on all of the stuff that's been happening in Numenor feels totally isolated from the rest of the story.
Yeah. And it's so dull as well. It's so simplistic. It's like, so, yeah, to put it into context, I suppose, like, Pharazôn has staged a coup, and, you know, because he just interrupted the coronation and an eagle showed up, everyone decided he's king now. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Then it's like, we have to get rid of Elendil because he's a threat to, like, the reign. He's still loyal to the previous queen. What can we do? We'll just provoke him into fighting with our guys, and then we can set some trumped up charges against him and just have him killed. So, okay, they go through all of that, and then he refuses to accept Pharazôn as the new king. So it's like, you're going to be judged by the sea monster thing that we can just summon at will. And if it likes you, then you'll survive. And if it decides that you're guilty, it'll eat you. So he goes down to the beach, and then the queen, whatever her name is, takes his place because apparently she can do that according to the law.
The sea is always right.
The sea is always right.
Say that.
What happened to your wife? She drowned.
Exactly. The C's always right.
Yeah, okay.
I do like the
So
idea
then-
that he was like, wow, my wife's supposed to be evil. Jeez. I wonder what she was
Yeah.
up to. Damn.
So then the monster fucking eats her and then spits her out, and everyone's like, "She's the real queen, yay!" And that's it. That's the plot resolved, I suppose. From that, like, what was the point in any of that? It's just a
That
waste
one
of time.
is very much what is the point of that? Is if it's actually going to be that she's back in charge again at the end of season 2, what the hell is the point? Why was this a subplot that occupied several
so much
episodes?
of this, you know, like what's his name, Adar and his army, right? At the end of the previous episode, they were at the gates of Eregion. And at the end of this episode, they're at the gates of the Eregion. But
he had a riveting conversation with Galadriel, and then she was like, "No, you can't invade Eregion. That's what Sauron wants. Don't do it." And then he does it because, isn't that tragic?
God.
And the whole conversation he has with her that basically spans the episode, it kind of bookends it. She ends up just telling him the things that he already knows anyway.
And then he like declares, see, you have revealed to me things that I really wanted to know, and you did it. Yeah, now I'm gonna. This is your fault, Galadriel. And it's like, true, it is your fault. Like,
she's responsible for a lot of bad shit at this point. She's stacking up her crimes.
But you don't understand MauLer. There's a tempest in her.
That's true. This episode in particular really was driving home, man. The not Sauron Nori like subplot. My God, this takes up so much time and we're moving so slowly.
It's funny as well. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this. They seem to have made a conscious effort to make Nori more attractive with each episode. Like, they've somehow tried to make the actress, like, they've taken all the stupid shit out of her hair. Wow. They've put more makeup on her to make her, like, look hotter. And I don't know what they're going for there, but it's like, are they just trying to make her more heroic looking or what? But, like, her scenes are so boring. I don't know why she's so loyal to Gandalf. She barely knows him. She doesn't know anything about him, but she's willing to give up everything for this dude. None of this
killing
works.
her, doesn't he?
He's
done that several times.
He keeps nearly killing her. Yeah, he's nearly killed her.
Exactly.
Well, that's what good friends do, As, don't you understand?
Remember, season 1 was obsessed with repeating that her whole thing is she's got to see the world. She's got to see the world out there, the big old wide world. She can't be, got to go off trail, all that bullshit. Season 2, I feel like they've not been keeping up with that in terms of giving her payoffs of appreciating the world around her, talking about how amazing it is.
Have a character, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Have an arc. Like,
it's the worst of both worlds. They told us and told us and told us and told us that's her character. And then they didn't have it shown through action at all. She's sort of just going through the motions of being like, where are we now? What the fuck's going on? Oh, this gotta fight Gandalf there. Like, it's not. It feels like such a fucking pointless plot line.
You know how I remember in the Lord of the Rings movies when characters had morals, they had a moral code, they had things that mattered to them and principles, and like they were constantly tested throughout the movies. And they often had to make difficult decisions about, like, well, what's more important? Is it the bonds of friendship, or is it loyalty to your country, your people, the greater, like, doom that spells, like, you know, from the ring, or do you help the things that are in front of you? Like, all of those issues were constantly thrown at them, and it was a real test of character for all of them. There's none of that in this. Every character just kind of reacts to whatever thing's thrown at them this week.
Yeah,
and there's no unifying theme that ties any of it together. It's just so like writing by numbers. It's like they've got a bunch of things that need to happen in order for the plot to move forward, and that's all that matters. Like, none of this actually feels like a real world with real people in it.
I'd say, Drinker, the best part of Rings of Power so far is as his reaction as you're describing the show to him, just like you see his soul depleting per second as you and MauLer Fringy describe.
I've now got eBay open and I am currently shopping.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
We haven't even we have yet to drain his soul. We've got the big thing.
I've already checked out.
Oh yeah, like I don't know if I can. I'll try and play the video, and if not, MauLer and I will just have to describe it to you. But here we go. Remember this line from the Lord of the Rings movies and the books? Well, you know, we're gonna get it here as well.
Die, deserve life.
Oh shit! Well, I guess I can fill it
in. Well, so should we just say what he says instead?
Yeah, let's just say
you got Mr. Bombadil here. He says, "Many that die deserve life. Some that live deserve death. Who are you to give it to them? Says that to Gandalf. Obviously, fucking pilfering one of the greatest lines of the original trilogy, letting us know that Gandalf was given it by the goofy ass fucking Bombadil from this show. Obviously, a variation on it, but still, it's, you know what they're doing.
Yeah. And this all comes about because Gandalf has got to go and get his staff. And so I'm going to say, actually, Bomb Bombadil presents him with a fucking forest of dead trees. And it's like, your staff is out there. Find it for me. And it's like, well, that can take me months. Well, you've got all the time in the world. But what about my friends? They're in danger because I had a nightmare that they were going to get murdered. And it's pretty much, you have to choose.
I presume that what it's going to be is that he saves them, and then he's like, "You made the right choice. Here's your stuff."
Wait, is this Luke Gandalf?
Yes.
You gotta complete your training. No, my friends are in danger.
Tom Bombadil would never do any of this stupid shit. He's not Yoda, and he's not.
Yeah, they're trying to
Mr.
Yoda
Miyagi.
him. It's weird. He'll probably say you had the staff all along, and you'll look down and he's just holding it.
That's right. It was in your heart.
No, wait. The real staff was the friends we made along the way.
Oh,
that's right. Off. Yes, you should say that.
So, just a recap. If season 2 ends up being the big payoff for Gandalf is he gets his fucking stick, and season 1 was he gets to find out he's a wizard. You know what I mean? Like, story, please.
And then season 3 will be he finds out his name is Gandalf, and then season 4 is he gets his hat.
Yeah.
No, he'll get his staff at the end of season 2, and he'll go, "It's Gandalfing time."
Oh,
I can
Who wants to bet they're going to repurpose "You Shall Not Pass"?
Yeah, you'd be like,
definitely.
Who's gonna try and pass me?
They've already used the
Lord of the Rings.
They've already used the line of "It's mine, my own."
My precious.
They've used that in this episode. No, they didn't use that word. Although it is the word "precious" is used in multiple times throughout the episode as well. But
was it? This is a precious waste of my time.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's just nothing's off the table. I feel like the Balrog in Khazad-dûm is going to get more and more known, and then word will spread, and he'll eventually find out. You'll just have a line of like, "I should think I would never like to battle a Balrog on a very narrow bridge." That would be crazy.
It would be difficult to prevent that from passing.
If ever I did, I would hope that I could defeat such a beast.
This season, they actually said the term "the Lord of the Rings." It's like,
The
Wait,
rings of power.
I swear, as my joke, and it said it wasn't. Well, it wasn't. They called it to Celebrimbor. They called Celebrimbor the Lord of the Rings. I'm like,
there's so many of these plot threads that are so fucking pointless. The Gandalf one, Nori and Poppy, the fucking Numenorian stuff. Like, it all feels so superfluous to the story. I've just got no interest.
That's probably because it is. It really is. This is a non-entity of a show. It's hideously unwatchable. It's hideously unwatchable.
but Amazon spent $1 billion on it. It must be good.
No.
And they would try their best to see it through to the end because it would be too embarrassing to quit halfway through.
Exactly.
Oh no,
it would be.
I reckon third season done. I'm sending it 3 seasons.
I think I felt that way before, but now I actually do think they might just brute force it. Try and move through
I think they'll
possible.
they'll give you truncated seasons, but I think you'll get 5 seasons of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was laughing as well because I was talking to MauLer and Fringy about this before we went live. You know, there's a scene, right, where the orcs are getting ready to lay siege to Eregion, and Galadriel says to Adar, "You're not going to be able to breach this place with just 1 legion. It's impossible." And he says, "Do you think I would just bring 1?" And the camera pans over what I guess the makers of the show thought was going to be this epic shot of a gigantic army. But it's so dark and it's so badly shot that all I saw was just a bunch of bonfires that spring up along a line in the forest. I had no idea of what kind of force I was meant to be seeing there. I didn't know what this was. So that's all you get. It's so fucking weird and pointless.
Was there a guy then that was like, he said the line torches up. He said the line. Torches
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Essentially, that's what they were going for. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it was just,
it's
it was just a bunch of orcs like kind of in a field grouping together next to the bonfires. It didn't look like this. It's not the same as like when Minas Tirith, right? Where you just see this massive like army, marching towards them. This one was like, I mean, I guess there's a bunch of them out in the forest, and they're sort of grouping together by the bonfires.
Yeah.
I love how it takes the elves completely by surprise as well. Yeah.
Even though you can actually see the smoke over the horizon, like over the hill, you can actually see it, but for some reason, none of them seem to realize.
Well, yeah, I mean, call me crazy, right? But like, if this is one of your main cities, you wouldn't just like sit behind the walls and just kind of look out. You would.
Remember, it was earlier in the episode when Celebrimbor was like, "Hey, Sauron, can you handle all of the stuff going on?" And then he goes outside, and they find out that a whole bunch of elves got killed. One got left there with a marking on his chest, and like they didn't do anything in response to that. There was like no preparation or anything because Sauron's like, bury him, and it's like, but surely word's gotten out, right? Like that a whole bunch of elves didn't return, and you're making no preparations, really?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't they have scouts all throughout the forest? Like, you wouldn't get within 50 miles of Eregion without the elves knowing about it. I mean, I thought stealth and like being able to move quickly is their thing.
Drinker, stop making sense.
Yeah.
No, I think you'll find that the elves are retarded and dumb as fuck, and Celebrimbor is a spastic.
Oh God!
I loved how Sauron was able to teleport over to Khazad-dûm, by the way.
Yeah.
Just he goes there and then gets back, and it's like, dude, how many days did that take you? It's like, what are you talking about? Well, it took me an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is where the show just abandons all pretense that there's geography.
Well, you know what it's going to be as well for the battle. It's going to be that the battle starts, but then Elrond's going to show up, right, with the elves from Lindon, and they'll show up just in time. And then Elf Ranger, Archer guy, he's going to show up just in time. And then Galadriel will like break free and she'll show up just in time. But as this is all happening, just in time, Celebrimbor is going to make the rings for men. Like it's all going to line up in the most convenient, insane way possible because like everything, it's so weird how the show is like incredibly bloated, but all of these like major events have been condensed massively to where they're like taking place in the same day.
Yeah.
You're right there, Ike?
Makes sense. No. I'm playing with my cat now.
Oh, good.
I don't blame you.
Imagine I'm stroking my pussy.
Yeah, we stopped talking about Agatha now.
Imagine there are 24 episodes still to go after season 2.
Why would you say that, man?
Crazy, isn't it?
Could you fucking imagine if they actually do it? They commit. Because by the time that last episode of season 5 finally fucking crawls out of the pit.
What, in 2032?
Yeah. They'll be like, there, we did it. Everyone all over the world will be like, why?
You were so preoccupied if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should.
Yeah, it's just be like Ryan Reynolds movie. It's just like, but why?
Yeah.
Nobody watched it.
I mean, it's
like last year, they're just like, this is the most watched show on Amazon Prime. As they showed the charts that had the boys above them.
Oh my God.
It's just like, but the boys did better than you. Season 3. The most watched.
I don't see that the show could actually like maintain an audience because it's so like, even if somebody was simply enjoying it for the spectacle, it's like, yeah, but it's so hollow. Like, why would you watch this over anything else that you could be watching, you know?
And it
just Mandela effect everything.
Yeah.
For a show that costs such an insane amount of money as well, you'd think they would have big epic battles almost every episode just to make real use of that money. But like, they really, really haven't. It feels small and cheap.
Yeah.
That's what keeps shocking me about this show. I don't feel like they spent $1 billion making this. Nowhere near.
Yeah, it wasn't like 200 million per season and 500 million for the rights or something like that.
What did they spend it on? Was it Sauron's wig? I don't know.
The first season cost 600 million or something. That was like the big investment with season 1. 600 odd million.
Man,
I would.
That ball is expensive.
This is Hollywood bloat at its absolute worst. Like, I don't doubt, like, they okay, fine. They definitely use special effects shots quite a few times, but, like, not to the extent that it would cost $600 million. Yeah. It's absurd.
You guys know how did She-Hulk cost $250 million, $200 million for She-Hulk?
Yeah, 200 mil. Yeah,
Secret
For
Invasion,
She-Hulk.
same deal. That's actually unbelievable. How could so much money be spent on such bad projects?
You guys know I've
There
seen
you go.
I've seen better CGI on YouTube than She-Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like it'll be the producers. I wouldn't be surprised if they're skimming a good old chunk off the top. Like, yeah, my production fee, got to buy that third house in the fucking Barbados or something. Yeah, like it's I guess that's how it's done. But man, what an absolute turd of a show.
But the sad part is Amazon doesn't care because Amazon has so much money. That's why.
Oh yeah, I mean they can fund this forever if they wanted to. Like what, $1 billion? Like they probably make that in a week in terms of company profits just from their online business. Like that's Amazon's unique, I suppose, amongst all the other studios. Like they don't really even have to care about profits from their TV shows because it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah,
I
It's just
guess
like a vanity
not. But at
project.
the same time, like it's got to be grim and depressing to just realize that there is a gradually diminishing audience for this. Less and less people are watching it, you know. Like
well, when you've essentially you've bought the rights to one of the most like beloved properties, I suppose, on the planet, and thrown an insane amount of money at it, and still you can't get people to watch it. Like you have to think, like, damn, we've fucked up big time on this one.
Yeah, and there's nothing to blame in terms of you have more money than you could ever want to realize your show, your story. Like, there's no limitation. I mean, it's so much money, so like you can't be blaming that. It's got to just be the core, right? It's got to be the writing. It's got to be the performances. It's got to be like these fundamental issues. And it has to be. Surely it has to be recognized that that's the case, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they don't realize that.
I mean, they must know that there's something wrong. Like what they're doing isn't
they don't
landing.
care. They don't care.
I agree.
And they never have. They never cared because they never cared from the moment that this was announced. And they never cared the moment that they started sacking the actual Tolkien historians to bring in the people that they wanted, which is the ideological people. So this has always just been another fucking intersectional fever dream for these fucking weirdos. It was never going to attract an audience. It's lost half of its audience from episode 1 of season 1 to episode 1 of season 2. It lost 60% of its audience from the start of season 1 to the end of season 1. This is going to have the most ridiculous diminishing returns that there's ever fucking been. This is not made for anybody. It's another one of these vanity projects that Bezos made it for him. This is what he wanted. This is what he wanted, and this is what he's got. Congratulations. You just lost money.
I mean, I would love to hear the conversation between him and his son, who'd said to him before this started, like, Dad, no matter what you do, just don't fuck this one up. Well,
what?
Bad news, son.
I got news for you.
And it's not too that Tolkien's even his great grandchildren. They don't even care about the properties. They just want the money.
So his son Christopher, his son Christopher was like super invested in maintaining the prestige of his legacy and just being very guarded with it, making sure it didn't get exploited. Then his grandson Simon came along, and he's a different sort. And apparently he did a lot of this because he's an aspiring author himself, and none of his books fucking sold. And so I think his hope was that, like, oh, if I cozy up to Amazon, they'll develop my books. I think he's actually got a deal with them to do that. And that's it. Everyone has their price, I suppose. But you think if you're the grandson of J.R.R. Tolkien, like, you're set for life anyway. Do you really need this just to massage your ego?
Greed just wants more greed, man. It sucks.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's like trying to equal him or something in terms of success. But like, if you don't have the talent, you don't have it, I suppose. Yeah, sad stuff.
That's depressing.
But, oh well. Yeah, the only other thing that's been happening this week, I suppose, it's the question that I often pose to myself when I look in the mirror and I ask myself, am I racist? And well, clearly the answer is yes, obviously. But No, the documentary that Matt Walsh had put out about a week ago has obviously done the rounds, and it debuted in the top 5, I think, in US box office, so it's done pretty well financially. But it's been interesting watching the reaction to it, I suppose, online, and particularly amongst like professional critics and stuff who are essentially unwilling to even touch it or even acknowledge that it exists. And I think it's kind of an interesting one because the only, I guess, mainstream critic that I've seen that tackled it was Jeremy Jahns, who copped a lot of shit for doing it. And initially actually lost some subscribers as a result, but it seems to have gained them back and more. And I think it's an interesting one how it's been received, I suppose. I don't know how many of you guys have even seen it or know much about it, but no, it's been kind of an interesting reaction, I suppose, online.
Excuse me. Seen it, but I'm aware, that it's controversial, at least for him.
Of course.
Have they got enough critics reviewed it for a score on Rotten Tomatoes yet?
I think it has, because, well, I think they had anyway, but for some reason, Rotten Tomatoes decided not to show it until, I guess,
of course not. Matt
Walsh put pressure on them publicly, and they eventually caved and did. So it now has a fresh rating, apparently. Yeah. I mean, I can totally understand why they wanted to bury this thing, because to some extent, I suppose it's counter to the sort of mainstream narrative. But yeah, the interesting thing is I suppose it's kind of an interesting documentary. Like, I've seen it. I did a review on it. It's obviously a very like tongue-in-cheek, like almost humorous look at the people who grift off this stuff. But yeah, I think even if you don't agree with it, I think it's probably an interesting one for people to watch just to get a different perspective. And I guess I would always come down on the side of like artistic freedom and expression and different points of view, even if you don't like them. Well, sometimes it's good to hear them. And I think this is probably a good example. But wow, yeah, the way this has just been, I guess, memory hold by a lot of people is kind of it's kind of an interesting reaction, I suppose. But yeah, like credit to sorry.
No, what's funny is yesterday my kid, I brought my son, he's 17, to see the 50th anniversary, first time even for myself, I'm 43, and to see Blazing Saddles in theaters.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles came out the exact same week, 50th anniversary, as this film. And boy, the whole panel would say, talk about a film that couldn't be made in 2024.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that was, it's still considered this classic of comedy, but yeah, like it's never going to get made today. Clearly, nothing like that would be touched. But
yeah,
that's what we miss, I suppose. You miss comedies like that. Like, we talked often about things like Tropic Thunder. We had Robert Downey Jr. in blackface. That was within 10, 15 years that we had that.
Yeah, it was 2008.
Yeah, you would never get a film like that now. But I like credit to guys like Ben Stiller who just have said, I'm not going to apologize about it. I'm proud that we did that film. And if you've got a problem with it, you're totally missing the point of what we were doing with that character. Hopefully he sticks to that. He doesn't eventually cave.
And of course, the internet is what it is. When Jeremy Jahns did his Blade review, and Jeremy Jahns had some makeup on, people want to drag that up as well as their argument.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that was like it's easy to get the image there, but it's perhaps a bit out of context for him. But
exactly,
yeah. I mean, like I say, I respect him a lot for having had the balls to be like the first mainstream, I guess, movie critic to do that movie, and he seemed pretty fair when he did his summary of it. Like, I didn't get an impression like, oh yeah, this is totally my jam, and like this is pushing the message I want. He was just like really chill, really neutral about it, and just like, yeah, this is quite an interesting documentary. Kind of made me chuckle at times. Might be worth checking out if you're, looking to see a different point of view on things.
That's always an interesting conversation because, I mean, objectively, you have more subs than Jeremy Jahns, and you reviewed the same film, but it's funny how the same people want to attack you, but they'll go after Jeremy. But I guess is Jeremy more of a movie critic than you? But you guys, you have more a sub count than Jeremy, and you both still review films.
I mean, I suppose, like, looking at the audience between me and him, like, I guess he's always been just, he's never touched any of the meta stuff. He's never touched any of the cultural stuff around movies. He just talks about the films, like, completely non-political. And I suppose, like, for some people in his audience, it would have just been seen as almost a shock that he was willing to touch something kind of controversial like this. Whereas I guess I wouldn't have that problem. Is it
controversial? I mean, legitimately though, is it controversial? It's only, I think, controversial because there's such an ideological skew. If this was put out 20 years ago, it'd probably be seen as quite a mainstream comedy or mockumentary or whatever you want to position it as. That would be attacking a subculture of political ideology, which has gone to an extreme. The way that we'd laugh at the massive censorship from the 80s and the people like that, the Winehouses back in those days and stuff.
I think it probably stems from where the film comes from. Like the fact that it's Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, like he's obviously quite a divisive figure and quite a controversial figure in a lot of ways. And so that's probably the issue. If it had just been made from like some random production company that just decided to make a documentary about this, like I think it wouldn't have had the same degree of blowback on it.
What's the difference? So what's the difference between making Am I Racist and The Acolyte? They're both as politically and ideologically charged. In terms of one side just deals with far left ideology consistently. Disney, virtually every show, every film they put out is from a specific ideological standpoint, and this is from another political ideological standpoint. I'm no lover of the Daily Wire, but this one rule for thee, another for me bullshit is just nonsense.
Yeah,
right. I agree. Yes.
Well, I guess one's couched in a fictional setting, theoretically, in The Acolyte, whereas the other one's like exploring real life political issues. And I guess the other one is like the accepted mainstream narrative in Hollywood. So that makes it okay. That's all it comes down to, I suppose.
Almost like to add what you would say, what as drinker, like if Dave Chappelle made this film, people wouldn't care. But because Matt Walsh made the film, now it's even though it's the exact same film, it depends on the context of who's releasing it, which is hypocritical in itself.
I think if Dave Chappelle made it today, there would be plenty of people complaining because now that Dave Chappelle makes jokes about everybody. He doesn't care what you are. He'll make trans jokes, white jokes, black jokes. He'll do them all. That's not acceptable because now there's a group of people that believe they're beyond criticism, they're beyond mockery, they're beyond everything. They're untouchable, which is so weird when you want to be treated as normal and equal to other people. That there is a laundry list of conditions about what you can and cannot do with that ideological group.
Well, I think, and I guess what was interesting about the documentary is that most of the people that I guess he's exposing are white, and they're just people who essentially grift off this kind of cottage industry of like guilt, I suppose, or kind of racial tension, and yeah, like I think the most interesting thing, and characters like Borat did this as well, where it's like you're not necessarily manipulating people, but it's more like you're just asking them certain questions and just letting them give their responses, and essentially like give your opponent the rope to hang themselves with, and that seems to be what he does with this. And I think I guess it is kind of an interesting thing to explore. Like, yeah, there are people out there who just profit off this stuff, and they're not really interested in solving the problem. They're just interested in perpetuating it, because if somehow they did magically solve it, they wouldn't really have a career. They wouldn't have a reason for being.
Do you remember Bruno? Can you remember watching Bruno? Again, Sacha Baron Cohen again. When he went to the companies which would set up celebrities with charities to boost their their standing. And they were trying to push Darfur onto him, and he was just like, "This is successful. Let's just go for Darfur." And stuff like that, just kind of really sort of mocking. But there are literally companies out there that do that. That will, this is the trendy charity or the trendy horrendous thing which has happened, which is great to attach your name to as a celebrity. So this stuff, as you said, this has happened for a long time. This sort of mockery pointing at either facets of an industry or now, in this case, a facet of ideology. And yeah, these are fun things to explore. If only people that would be scared of it being exposed would necessarily be against something like this.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with something like this existing.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Jahns just did his job. That's all he did.
Exactly.
He did his job. I review movies. He reviewed the movie. I don't know if he liked it, disliked it. That's utterly irrelevant. It's the people that say, no, you're not. It shouldn't. No, it's bad. It's
well, yeah, it's this idea that like you shouldn't even be allowed to discuss it. Like even if like potentially given it a negative review, I think they still would have the same reaction. Like, oh my god, how dare you even acknowledge that this movie exists? You should just stifle it. And yeah, like he was pretty fair, I think, just pretty even-handed, pretty chill review. And as he said himself, like he was reluctant to talk about this film.
Yeah.
And then he had the moment of realization of, well, the fact that I'm reluctant to talk about it is probably why I should talk about it, because like, yeah, you should be allowed to explore these ideas, I suppose.
I mean, I do feel like Drinker, because Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers covered this, that because Jeremy actually did give this film a positive review, that these certain people, had he hated this movie, it would have been a whole different narrative had he hated this film. But because he actually praised this film, that's what pissed people off.
I think so, yeah. And yeah,
going around was him giving it a thumbs up, right?
Exactly, yeah. No, he highly praised. Wouldn't say MauLer like loved it, but he's like he gave it a very high standing, and the certain people who didn't like that came after him. But had he hated this film, they would have had a whole different talking point.
Yeah, because initially he lost some subscribers as a result of it, and it did make me wonder, like, oh, could he potentially like take this review down? Because some people do that. Like, if they get really negative responses to a review, they'll just like straight up kill it, rather than face that backlash. And he just kind of soldiered on, and then the tide kind of turned on it, and I think he's gained. I think it's about 20,000 subscribers as a result of this. So it's,
how dare he have some integrity in his actual craft?
Of course not.
That is disgusting. He should take $50 from Rotten Tomatoes and do what he's told.
I just wish the quality of the conversation was better as well, because the most of the criticism I'm seeing of him is just, well, you know what? He did blackface, so dismissed. It's like, what? What just happened? What? And it's like, oh, because they're so afraid of discussing it, they'd rather like Voldemort it, and get rid of the person who said anything as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I guess you could probably criticize Jeremy Jahns for like being fairly surface level as a critic. Like, he doesn't tend to go into a huge amount of depth about storytelling or anything, but that's his style, and it's like it worked perfectly well for him throughout his career. So if that's how he enjoys it, and he's got a certain degree of showmanship that makes his reviews pretty entertaining, and the fact that he was willing to then cover this and take some heat for it and not back down, I don't know. It says that the guy's got quite a bit of integrity about him, and he's a pretty fair critic.
Yeah, Drinker. I mean, he's been on YouTube for almost 20 years now, and before I even started subbing to you as MauLer, like Jeremy Jahns was like maybe the one person where I respected he seems to be as neutral as possible, and he makes it very public where is he left or right? Nobody knows. Is he Republican, Democrat? Nobody knows. He's just a movie reviewer. He makes 5-minute reviews and gets out, and that's it. You never hear Jeremy Jahns once in 20 years get into any kind of like big controversy.
I legit do not understand why Chris Stuckman's got more viewers than him, more subscribers than him.
I think Chris Stuckman at this point has more people will regularly watch Jeremy Jahns videos than Chris Stuckman, because it seems like Chris Stuckman's not really focusing much on the YouTube thing, which I guess we'll see how that goes when his film comes out. When is that coming out?
As a movie reviewer that refuses to do negative reviews, that's going to knock out a significant amount of modern movies to review. Unfortunately, so
I just honestly, if I could, I'd pay Chris Stuckman like $1,000 to review Am I Racist? I would love to see him desperately fumble his way through a review of that movie and try to express an opinion of it, but not offend anyone. Like
he would spam the word controversial. He'd be like, it's a controversial movie from a controversial studio starring a controversial man who's made controversial statements in the past and creates a very controversial narrative.
He was like, I don't want to cover bad movies anymore. That's why I'm not covering Madam Web.
What an absolute fucking just piss all over the industry that truly is. I don't think he understands that. So you haven't done any reviews lately, Chris. What does that say about all the films that have come out?
Did you see that clip from John Campea recently where he just went off on Hollywood and the movie industry and stuff? And he was just like, I am this close to just quitting altogether. Like when we look back on this era, Hollywood wasn't killed by home media. It wasn't killed by wokeness or anything like that. It was a suicide. Hollywood killed itself.
I haven't seen this clip. That sounds really funny.
Yeah, this is something I actually agree with Campea on.
It's like 5 or 6 minutes long, but yeah, I think it was about 4 days ago. I think it came out, so you can probably find it quite easily. But yeah, I think that was a man who just had enough, and he's like,
get that on the next real BBC.
What did he watch? What did it for him?
I don't know what triggered this.
Maybe it was Rings of Power.
Yeah,
Agatha. Who knows?
Agatha, he actually got his screeners for Agatha. Get out!
Enough.
I think a lot of it came down to like ticket prices, that sort of thing. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it is expensive to go watch a movie.
We have now for I'm in New York. We have Tuesday Regal $5 cinemas, so $5. It's expensive.
Yeah, I just found out there's a £5 cinema day here in my local cinema. Just like, what? On Monday's £5 day. Any movie that's there, new or old, £5. I'm like,
see, the only cinema in my area is an Odeon, and I kid you not, a fucking ticket will be like 16 quid.
Yeah.
Just for a basic bitch seat as well.
Yeah. You don't have reclining seats or no?
You do, but you pay more for them.
You
guys have matinees?
Those are premium seats. That's for the rich people.
We still have
matinees recliner
anymore. Now every cinema basically has reclining seats, and they have more room, which is nice. But still, it's expensive. It's at least $20 to go watch a movie here.
That's the thing. Like, imagine you've got like, say, a family. So wife, husband, 2 kids, whatever. You got your cinema tickets. You got to drive there. They're probably all going to want snacks and popcorn, drinks and everything. That's like 100 quid easily for like one night out to watch a shit movie. No wonder people aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, with that, you can buy the special edition of Star Wars Outlaws. You can buy the of that game.
MauLer's a big fan of that game. So.
Fringy, what kind of person would put Star Wars Outlaws?
Well, the cinema that I go to that has it's got like the big cinemas and it's got the smaller theaters, but every one of them has the space, the leg room, and the reclining seats. They've just shown recently Terminator 2. At the end of this month, they're showing the Dark Knight trilogy. At the end in October, they're showing the Back to the Future trilogy. I went a few weeks ago to see the Spider-Man trilogy, the Tobey Maguire ones, and all those tickets, £6 a ticket.
Yeah.
£6 a ticket. So you got good seats, you got a comfortable theater, £6 for a ticket, and an actual good movie.
See, that's the thing. Like September, October, it's the perfect time to do shit like this. Like when there's no actual good movies coming out. It's like
you guys show the classics with shitty horror films is usually what you end up with. So
yeah,
I mean, we have the Regal 25th anniversary of the first Matrix film. It's tonight.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow, nice.
Great film. I'm so gutted they never made a sequel because it could have gone places.
There definitely isn't a fifth one coming out they're going to be making.
No, there's. What are you talking about? Who's this guy? There's only one Matrix film.
You know the whole like. It's sad they never made a sequel. Matrix has like 2 eras of that. Like they never made a sequel. They never made a sequel to the sequels. Like,
it's gonna be something like a multi-generational like.
Yeah, like Terminator. They never made any more than 2.
Yeah, they did those two great movies, and that was it. Like Aliens, just like 2 great movies.
Yeah. Perfect way to end it.
They're making one more.
But I guess before we finish up tonight, would you guys be up for doing a few super chats?
Yes, sir.
Super duper. All right. Zeddy Boy says, Drinker, any chance of reviewing the Killer's Game? I mean, I guess there's just as much chance of that as anything else. Like,
I saw a Drinker.
Not too familiar with it myself, but is it good?
Batista is a better actor than The Rock, which isn't saying a lot, but
yeah.
Have you seen him recently?
He's got AIDS or something by the looks of it.
Well, he's a lot smaller. I totally get it. Like
down.
It definitely makes sense. Like the guy's like mid-50s. He probably doesn't want to be on the crazy roids and like doing insane workouts every day because that shit will kill you.
He said that right now he's 240 and he used to see this guy being 290. He goes, this is what a natural 240 guy, what an average guy looks like.
He ain't 240. No way.
Arnold
at his peak was 240.
Yeah,
this guy's like 200 at a pinch, maybe.
And he's chugging Ozempic like it's going out of fashion.
Yeah. I think as well, like, correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to be seen as a more serious actor. So he's
he does pick some diverse parts. I mean, give him that.
He fucking starred in a Shyamalan movie. He's great.
Well, more. He said he was like 295 pounds for that film, and he was bulky as hell.
He was big.
Film.
Yeah. He was. He got in with Denis Villeneuve, and I think he now thinks he's a serious actor.
That's what it is.
Which is a fucking shame, considering how wasted he was in the second Dune.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. He was okay in Blade Runner 2049. It was
for the one scene he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying my best here to pick the guy up.
I get
he was in.
It's like he said words, okay?
as is right.
Ah. That's another Spectre memory hole for you.
No reason not to say that he was really good as Drax. I enjoyed the hell out of him. Made the character really fucking fun. So, I hope he gets the role he's after. I think he's searching for like a Bryan Cranston Breaking Bad type thing where he gets to do a thing and everyone's like, whoa, look at you go. And he's like, yay, I'm an actor.
I've made it, Ma, king of the world.
What are you saying, Drinker? He's pushing 60. I'm pushing 60. I can't keep being 300 fucking pounds at 60. It's too hard.
Yeah, but he said that himself. It's like, and particularly like if you're not a wrestler anymore, like there's no need to have that insane size anymore. Like you're not really going to do anything with it. So yeah, probably better to slim down a bit.
Yeah.
How old's The Rock though? I mean, The Rock is still.
The Rock is.
He's pushing nearly 60 soon.
He's like 50.
Yeah. I'm sure it's all natural though in The Rock's case.
Of course.
It's really hard.
Fucking ass.
The next one, Northern English Bastard says one for MauLer.
I know you, dude.
Ooh. Favorite big bad in Buffy. Currently rewatching it as well as Angel. Both still awesome nearly 30 years later.
Ask MauLer.
Right. Buffy alone.
Big bad.
It's gonna be the mayor. I don't know how much I should. He's just fucking fantastic. I love the dynamic he has with Faith. I love the fact that he's like a old-fashioned 50s values man, Americana, but simultaneously a horrifying demon snake that's going to eat everybody. It's just such a fucking great little juxtaposition. I love his hatred of germs. Like in the middle of someone explaining to him a trade deal with like fucking terrorists or pirates or whatever the hell is happening, he'll be like, "Can you please like wipe your shoes before you come in?" Like that sort of shit. I just love it. And he'll be talking to like scouts about their brownies or whatever. Then he'll open his closet to grab something. There's skulls and candles and ritualistic satanic shit in there. It's just that comparison is great. And then he had loads of really amazing dialogue. And I like how he got to Buffy and Angel specifically. He knew how to really piss him off. And he had a big old long backstory. He lost all of his loved ones because he's an immortal type of being. And he said it's been fucking miserable, basically, like doing all of that, going through all of it. But he didn't get much screen time. And I think that in retrospect really tells you how strong a villain can be when you can think that highly of them. And then you're like, wow, they didn't even he gets introduced like halfway through the season. He's not even in it for that long. But if we were considering Buffy and Angel, it's probably going to be Holtz. For those who don't remember,
you were going to say that.
The demon, the vampire hunter that Angel has a really long history with. That's just good shit. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, indeed, yeah. This one from David Gannon says, MauLer and Drinker, I was inspired by your happy hours to rewatch the Cornetto trilogy. Fun fact, Nicholas Angel was named after Nick Angel, the music supervisor for the first two films.
Hey.
I did not know that, actually. It's a good one. Yeah, definitely always rewatch the Cornetto trilogy. Any chance you get, it's worth it. You'll have a good time. Doozer Pindon says, panel, you find yourselves in the MCU and you have limited power over space and time. What is the one event that each of you will change to fix it all?
I kill myself.
Let's just give up. The snap. Could we undo the snap?
Drinker, you said
that's
the snap,
fucking
man.
disastrous.
They have
for
not
the
recovered
MCU.
from that fucking snap, man. Jesus.
It's probably the snap that's got to go. Like, unfortunately, that kind of derails everything. Everything is downstream of that.
The thing to be snapping is my neck.
Az, you okay? Do we need to like
do these cries for help?
Yeah,
I can feel his pain.
it's like we're gonna get this stream like.
I had to leave the Rings of Power talk to feed my cat. I wasn't having a shit chat or anything like that. I went downstairs to feed and play with my cat for a bit to get it out of my head.
You know when you were shopping on eBay, were you shopping for like razor blades or like sleeping pills or like rope or just a fucking hammer?
Cyanide pill
with eBay's range of heroin.
Yo, Drake, you see, Az had his cord around his neck like this.
Yeah. Joe Mama says, "Thank you, MauLer, for blessing me with Boogie's greatest gift for humanity." As I now randomly shout "Tipples," much to the chagrin of my co-workers.
Yeah,
out of context, that's going to be real bizarre to people.
Yeah, you have to do the thing with your T-shirt as well. You're like "Tipples."
Yeah, you got to commit to the role, otherwise, like, what's the point?
B Chains says 2 bald eagles flew overhead while driving for work today, so I'm feeling extra American today.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Oh yeah, Disney and Rings of Power are lame. Cheers. Well, that'll make you feel more American as well by denouncing them. So good one. Yeah. Mara says, is anyone on the panel planning on seeing the DreamWorks animations The Wild Robot? Early reviews have been very good. The trailers look good, actually.
Yeah, it does look good.
They seem to be quite passionate about this one, so hopefully they pull off a bit of a win.
It's the director of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon, so that's definitely working in its favor. Also, it looks really good in terms of its art style and animation.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite excited to see that movie. I really hope it's good.
Stefano Borini says, what do you think of the disappearance of physical media and its effects on preserving and obtaining movies and TV shows in original form tomorrow? Well, it's disastrous, isn't it? I mean, if all you've got is a license key to download the latest version of a movie, well, they can fuck it up any way they want. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, Drake. A Black Myth Wukong. I download it. It's only digital only. I wanted to buy a physical copy. You can't. It's like,
yeah.
It's what do you do? It's like,
the new PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be digital only. You got to buy a disc drive
for $100, dude.
Part of the early push probably for next gen to normalize no physical media.
Yeah, they can get fucked with that. Imagine paying $700 for a console and you have to buy an attached
you have to buy the stand as well if you want it to stand upright. You got to buy
a fucking plastic stand.
$40, $40, I think.
What you can get you too. Remember, you guys are old enough. Remember, you buy a cartridge or disc. Now it's okay, buy the disc, but also to play the disc, you have to be online to play the disc.
Yeah, always online.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I will say it was a very stark contrast. I still haven't played Astro Bot and I need to, but opening up the disc for Star Wars Outlaws and it's like, get the season pass. Oh, yeah, season pass, like in the little slot. And then Astro Bot, there's a comic. There's like a fold out comic that you can read. I'm like, hey, look at how fun character in this fun game. And it's like, wow.
The comic just describes the first things you do in the game. It's so cute, and it reminds you of video games.
Well, yeah, exactly. I sure hope that Rockstar continues with putting in a map for their open worlds.
Yeah,
I presume they will, but I don't know. Eventually, there might not be physical releases for these games, and so we'll lose that forever too.
That's what you said, Fringy, because people would say, okay, I still have VHS player, okay, and find a television in the past 5 years that can actually play your VHS player.
Yeah.
So it's like it's stuck, but like this is the way it's going. Okay, I want a DVD player. Okay, in 4 or 5 years, find a product. DVD players. I'm in New York. We can't Best Buy. They stopped selling all physical DVDs, all DVD players. Good luck with that.
It's kind of interesting, particularly when it comes to retro gaming. Like if you wanted like an old CRT television for the old sort of games consoles, like maybe 5 years ago you couldn't give those things away. Now they're actually becoming super expensive. It's just like how progressed to the point where they're actually getting quite rare, and you have to spend the money if you want them now. It's just it's interesting.
100%.
Craig the bad guy says, time to settle the debate. Who would win in a fight, a tiger or a grizzly bear? Also, MauLer, you're gay. I just felt the need to pick on you there.
Wow.
That's you fucking owned, MauLer.
What am I, a fucking new Disney Plus show? What is that?
You are the gayest MauLer on the panel.
There's going to be a gay explosion at the end of this live stream.
Why do we have to settle? I thought we did essentially conclude
we did settle
that the
it.
grizzly bear wins, right? Basically,
did
the
this
tiger
huge.
has to get the first strike, and if it fails, then the bear wins.
We did this convo for like fucking 40 minutes to an hour on EFAP, basically, and we concluded that it's not impossible that the tiger can win. It's just that the odds are not on his side.
Well, it's just the reason why I wanted to make the case for the tiger is because Siberian tigers are enormous. They are huge. They are huge and powerful. Because obviously grizzly bear, everybody knows how powerful they are, but so are Siberian tigers.
It's that throat strike if it gets that.
Yeah, if it gets that, it wins,
I don't think it would.
doesn't.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think it would be able to clamp itself around a bear long enough to asphyxiate it.
That jaw power is intense.
Well, that's the thing people don't appreciate about tigers. Like, if they clamp their jaws around your neck, or like, say like a gazelle or something like that, they don't rip its neck apart or anything. They just strangle it. That's all it does. And so a grizzly would have to kind of obediently stand there for a good 30 seconds.
Well, the thing is that if the teeth punctured the esophagus, then it's like, well, game over, right? Like, it's a matter of time. But remember, we settled on the grizzly bear wins.
I'd support that.
And of course, if it was a polar bear, there would be no chance. The polar bear wins every time, no matter what.
Yeah, because the weight factor alone, what's the average tiger? 400 or 500 pounds. A grizzly bear is like 1,300 pounds. That's a lot of fucking weight.
Yeah, grizzly bears are huge. And if you've ever watched like a video of a bear fight, I think it's like you get conditioned by movies and stuff. Yeah, if it's big, it moves slow. They do not move slow. They are fast.
No. Yeah,
they are very fast.
Did you see that video recently? It was like someone doing a selfie on a speedboat with a bear
the
chasing them on the
keeps
shore.
up with them for a decent amount of time. It's like, fucking hell, that thing is fast.
I think the caption was perfect, where it's like, if you think you can outrun a grizzly bear, you fucking can't.
I
saw a video yesterday of a guy. There's a little, I say a little brown bear. It was decent size, but not obviously huge. A roadside, and this guy had fucking stopped, and his mate's filming him. And he's throwing snacks to the bear, and the bear's like plodding up to the sacks, and he's like eating the snacks, and he's like going to the next one, and he's gonna go, and he just fucking totally leaps on the guy. He's like, oh, he's dead. He's gone.
I remember there was this video of this really unfortunate hiker who it just opens on him walking backwards as a grizzly bear with two cubs are walking towards him, and they just keep walking towards him. He keeps walking backwards, but the cubs are like, "Who's this fella? We're gonna keep walking this way."
Isn't it funny how cubs are almost more terrifying than the bear, because you're
because you know what follows.
A ninja mother bear is here somewhere.
Yeah.
She gonna get you. She gonna get you.
They're gonna take a long time to eat me as well.
Oh my god. Yeah. Bears will eat you alive too. That's what's scary.
Oh
yeah. Dragon Paul Z says Galadriel is what Last of Us 2 fans think Joel was. Everything in the story is her fault, and the show refuses to acknowledge it or reprimand her actions.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is her fault, basically.
Yes.
I bought the collector's edition for Last of Us 2 for $200.
That was not money well spent.
Everybody has one. Everybody has one. Mine was Destiny. I bought the $200 special edition of Destiny that came with the Peter Dinklage ghost, and that was God. Oh, what a disappointment!
that game did not pan out, did it?
Fringy, I went to GameStop. Said, how much money do you want for this Last of Us collector's edition? I'm like, guys, just take it for free. I don't want anything. Just get rid of it.
Free, give us like a $5 on trade or something.
Just give me a hug.
I think she knows.
Yeah. I'll just take a hug right now.
Yeah, I just need to know it'll be okay.
Why did they kill Joel in the first hour?
Yeah. Turbo Topology says, bring the fring. Indeed. Well, we did. SC615 says, "Hey Drinker, when you're in Boston, check out the Coolidge Corner Theatre. It's a historical film house that still has a projectionist and often runs programs showing classics." Nice. An old school projectionist. I like it. Alkimas says, "Love your work, gentlemen. Also, MauLer, don't you dare play Astrobot and not stream it." There you go.
I won't, but I'm not sure when. I'll try and get the next. I think I can do it all in one, the next stream for the game. So I'll try and do that at some point. I've just been busy. Busy.
Has that game not sold well, though? Even though it's meant to be really good, has it not sold well?
I have no idea on its sales. I just know that it's such a fucking little ray of hope in an otherwise sludgy landscape of death.
Well, it's really weird because somebody sent me this like picture yesterday that somebody had done like the cartoon drawing of me doing the face with the red face and all the veins and all that. And it's like above me was like, stop putting politics into games. And then it had that game next to it. But it was meant to be insulting me somehow, as if, well, this hasn't got any politics and look how it did or something. It's just like, what?
I don't know. Astrobot, I think the team that made it was pretty small, so I presume it's not going to be like Star Wars Outlaws, for instance. Like that game will end up selling millions of copies, but when the game almost certainly cost over $100 million, that's not good. Whereas Astrobot has a much smaller studio that made it, so they don't need to sell.
Didn't they say it was like 60? The dev team was like 60 people or something crazy.
Quite small. So I don't know, like the idea of it didn't sell as well as God of War. It's like, well, it doesn't need to. it doesn't need to sell that well.
I Google it, says Astrobot is the fastest selling original IP since Mario in the past decade.
Holy shit.
So I have no idea what that guy's point was.
The thing is as well, like they probably had most of the assets left over from Astro's Playroom, which just shipped free with the PS5.
Yeah, it says 2 days ago, this is Stream Rant said 2 days ago, there was a second selling highest IP for physical media 2 days ago. So it's selling
as much as that they may be able to repurpose a whole bunch of stuff. The work in the game is absolutely nuts. And the big aspect of Astrobot that I think people should check it out for is just how much love it gives to Sony's IPs, ones that you would never expect them to talk about. And
I like I saw the Dude Raider level where it's all just like Uncharted. It's like quite cool.
Dude, the God of War Ragnarok one fucking killed me.
Right now in America, it's so good. Astrobot is the second highest selling game in America. Okay, it's doing well.
It's pretty successful.
So
I just want to throw this out there. By the way, I'm playing Space Marine 2 at the moment, and you can do like 3-player PvE. I'm just putting that out there, gentlemen. MauLer, I know you guys play games occasionally.
Dude, it's broski the fucking game. It's amazing. I love it. I love that game.
Well,
it's great.
This, I started my stream with I was clean shaven. After 2 hours, I grew this.
Wow. I was like a woman when I started playing Space Marine.
Your jaw will expand by like 60% while playing it.
I saw Asmongold had done a video talking about a video that was talking about the concept of why Space Marine 2 is doing well and Helldivers and stuff, and that just feels like this little void that got bigger and bigger over the course of however many years that was once upon a time hyper popular. The team up with your buddies and play games sort of aspect that like got murdered really slowly.
Formula, like it should be easy.
Does it not just really let you know that the market is such comes in waves sort of thing? It's just, when there's enough time without an aspect that, sometimes it can be deliberately killed. We know this, but sometimes it can just be something that people drift away from making and be interested in until it's been long enough that you try it out again. You're like, fuck, I remember this. This is amazing. And it's like, yeah, we're back, sort of thing.
Yeah, more important, man. I love 4-player co-op, man. The Gears of War franchise, Avengers games. It's like they're great 4-player experiences with your friends.
Yeah. No, I agree. Helldivers 2 had that for a little while, and then it got fucked. But yeah,
I watched you and Az play it. You guys were having some good times there.
Yeah,
it was honestly really good. Yeah.
I reckon we should crank up the difficulty of Space Marine and go for it.
Yeah,
the suggestion of bringing Gary along is like, hey, it's not fair.
That would be amazing,
dude. If we have trouble on it, it would just be like, it would be a fucking disaster. But maybe it would be pretty fun. So we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. Alchemasi. Oh, sorry, no, just that one. Shane Boatwright says, sometimes I wonder if the stupidity ever ends, but then I remember that it only ends when our collective apathy drives all these hacks out of work. That's true. I mean, we're working on it. Alan Stewart says MauLer thinks the guy from Dune is masculine. That is all. Timothy Chalamet?
No, obviously Baron Harkonnen. That is just pure man meat right there.
True, yeah.
That's a peak specimen.
Sweaty mad meat. Yes, let's go. he's slug maxing.
Batissa's moving too.
He's unstoppable, right?
Toby Ornatobe says, for EFAP, new rock stars, why was Acolyte cancelled?
Oh, gee, who knows?
Racism.
So they made a video about it. I take it.
Well,
for you guys to review.
If I can give it a look, see if they. We do often cover videos that speculate insanity to try and explain something so simple, because a lot of the time it's just like, because it was awful, and they'll be like, no, actually it was because, and then it's like genre levels, and if you look at the history of blah blah blah, and this is the perfect timing, because you know what, the show was pretty good. You're like, no, it wasn't. Shut up. But we'll see. Who knows? It's new rock stars. I would rely on them for fantastic analysis. Their forte is more Easter eggs. Like, did you notice the red lightsaber was red? This references Anakin's lightsaber, but it's red. All right.
Oh my god.
Thanks for that insight. David Morris says, my mom was recently diagnosed with cancer. We're very close. Please pray for her to go to heaven. Panel and chats.
Oh,
sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah,
that's a lot, dude.
Sorry. Jeremy Soden says, 4 hours into EFAP, 172, the Arcane Breakdown Part 1. So much well-deserved praise. Season 1 was jaw-dropping. Super excited for Season 2.
Fuck yeah, dude. If they can maintain or be even better, I will be over the moon. It'll redeem the fucking Rings of Power Acolyte little shit we've got going right. Sorry, not Acolyte. That's just evidence of how my brain is responding to all of this. Rings of Power, Agatha. It's all the damn thing.
Same shit, different name.
Give me pretty much story, please. Because that's the one thing. Did we talk about how, like, the one aspect of Agatha I feel like we didn't hit hard enough was how fucking slow everything is.
Oh my god.
It takes forever to give you any information. And then when I give you it, it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really form an opinion yet. I'm only one episode in, but I guess you guys know better than I do.
I disagree. I think that look at Breaking Bad's first episode, phenomenal. It's like a whole movie.
Well, it's hard to gauge this because it wastes so much time on something that is totally irrelevant to the overall story.
I think half the episode is superfluous. So it's like I think that's well worth criticizing for its pacing. It's just like, what the fuck was the point of that? And it's like, well, because you did the little crime show. Isn't that neat? Yeah. That was an idea they had when they were having their coffees in whatever shop. They said, wouldn't it be neat if the show opened and it was not the show it is? It's a different show. What show? Oh, like those crime shows where they, when they go into like the woods and there's a body and then someone is like, well, what have we got? And they have like a coffee. We should do that. And then they're like, yes, that is it. We don't need to add anything else now. You've done it. That's the script. There we go. That's like you watch it and you're just like, fuck, this didn't make it out of like the initial idea. You didn't do anything else with this.
I definitely got the feeling that I had from the first 3 episodes of Rings of Power as well, where it's like, this was 40 minutes, I think, for this first episode. It honestly felt like about 3 hours.
Yes.
No,
it felt like it was never going to end.
Yeah, you're right.
First episode of season 2?
Yes.
That was 1 hour and 15 minutes, mate.
Well, with credits,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I guess that's what I mean. Like, it dragged on forever.
I wanted to fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
Coming back to killing yourself again.
Yeah, this is what it did it to me. I was like, okay, here we go. Let's muster the mental energies. I sat down with fucking Chat's mum. I couldn't be with somebody fucking nicer. And I watched it, and I was just like, I'm done. Goodbye, cruel world. I'm fucking out of here. This is unfucking watchable garbage.
Truly is.
Absolutely unfucking watchable.
You didn't like the sludgy Sauron blob?
No, I wasn't a big fan. Gotta confess.
Down the mountainside.
Yeah, just doing his fucking Resident Evil 7,
His symbiote.
Fucking hell, man. A sequence of extraordinary coincidental events. That's what it should have been called.
Oh my god.
It was lucky. James Moore says, here's hoping Transformers 1 is good. Going to see it tomorrow. The critics hate it, but apparently the audiences like it. Also, the 17th was the anniversary of the original show airing 40 years ago. Wild.
Drinker, Jeremy Johns and Chris Gore actually gave Transformers 1 positive reviews.
Well, wait, Az, you're our resident Transformers man. What's the take?
I know. The trailers look horrendous, but do I have to go see it now?
I mean,
and give it. I mean, if it's good, it's good. But I mean, the trailers look horrendous.
I seen Chris Gore say that the trailers are shit. But he goes, "It's actually a good film." He's like, "It's actually a good film," which I'm like, the trailers look awful. I don't know, man.
I honestly didn't know it even existed until that super chat came up. I've not seen anything about it.
US.
Dude, I saw Disbrew tweet about how the fucking spin-off Orphan Black show got cancelled after a season, and he said like, I didn't even know this thing existed, and it's got cancelled. It's like after a season.
Orphan Black had a spin-off.
Orphan Black had a spin-off show that is out, had a season, and it didn't do well enough, so they've cancelled season 2. I was like, when the fuck did any of that happen? Like, what?
When Orphan Black ended like 10 years ago, didn't it?
Shit, MauLer.
It's the kind of stuff that's just like, where's the marketing? Who talks about any of this? What? You're a ninja show.
Jesus Christ.
Ruby says, what's your favorite lesser-known comedy? Mine is Noises Off, starring Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, Carol Burnett, and John Ritter, to name a few. It's a funny movie, but most people haven't seen it. I've never seen it, no.
I would go with Hot Rod. I feel like not many people have seen that compared to...
Everyone should see Hot Rod.
Dude,
everyone should see Super Troopers as well.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Just FYI, Transformers 1 doesn't even come out in the UK till October the 11th.
Really? Oh my god. Damn, dude.
I thought you were just going to stop there. Like, it doesn't even come out in UK. That's all. Like, nobody even fucking cares.
I would say, Drake, recently you were on Dark Hour's channel with True Lies. I think True Lies is a seriously underrated comedy. There's a lot. There's so much to laugh in True Lies. Like, yeah, when Arnold, the infamous scene when he's staring at Jamie Lee Curtis at the dinner table.
Yeah. I think that my favorite bit is Bill Paxton. Like every scene that he's in is amazing.
Bill Paxton is the soul of True Lies. Like, dude,
some of the stuff he says is horrific. It's great.
I just remember when
he says, like, at one point he's describing Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's like, "Ass like a 10-year-old boy."
Yeah.
Fucking hell, dude.
One of the parts I've always,
I think talking to Walsh,
mentioned this last time. Fucking with True Lies the fact that they have a sequence where they're recording their like horrifying message, and the fucking camera operator realizes the battery's running out.
Yeah.
That shit, I was laughing. So it's just such fucking dark comedy of like, and he's just sweating like, I don't know what to do.
Because he's like obviously hoping the guy's gonna wrap it up before he runs out of batteries, and he just keeps rolling with his speech.
When Arnold Imaginary punched him in the fucking face and the blood splatters everywhere.
Yeah,
I got a small dick. I'm pathetic.
True Lies, and that was because Arnie wanted to do something funnier, right? He was
Drinker says.
Well, I think he was trying to bounce back from the failure of what was it, Last Action Hero?
He
was like, well, what's a surefire hit? I'll pair up with James Cameron again. And,
he has like Arnold has legit like actually good comedic timing. That's what's sad.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's funny.
Yeah, I think Twins and Kindergarten Cop.
Cook it down.
Dude, genuinely, he is fascinating to assess as an actor. If you look at his entire career, everything he's done is it's more complicated than he's bad, and he's so bad he's good. It's like it's more complicated than that.
Yeah,
but I tell you what though, Arnie has an incredibly impressive filmography.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be undeniable. Like, how many classic films has he been a part of? You know.
Weird.
Yeah.
He's somewhat. I don't know where you'd rank him, but he's so iconic to film. He feels kind of like he is iconic of film. Like
he's he's emblematic of the 80s, like the big beefy action movies of the 80s. Like the first name that probably comes to mind is Schwarzenegger. Although ironically, Stallone made way more money. Like his box office grosses were like easily twice as much as Arnold's back then. But Arnold's probably the one that's cemented culturally for people.
Drink, you're right. Like I would say the average person, if you ask between Stallone and Schwarzenegger, you think Stallone, Rocky. It's Rocky and Rambo. But Arnold's got a huge filmography, man.
Yeah.
Did they ever do? They must have. Did they ever do Rambo versus Terminator?
Give it time. Give it time.
No, I don't mean fucking movies. I'm talking about like comics or whatever.
Well, more we have the internet, so.
Because it's too late for the.
I'll put it for you.
But I assume that must have happened somewhere at some point in a comic form.
I want to see Dutch from Predator versus Rambo.
Oh, he's dead.
Not officially.
Well, no, sorry, Dutch.
Oh, they didn't
not officially. Yeah.
Damn it.
One
day we'll get it done. John Gates says, got my Astrobot review releasing tonight on my channel. Yes, I will shamelessly promote it since everyone needs to play that game. Absolute masterpiece.
Okay. Is it as good as Dragon Age Veilguard?
That's not out yet.
That has you can have a character created with top surgery. You know that? Top surgery scars, and if you want to create a female character, then good news, you won't be able to give her breasts larger than a B.
Wow. And is this in like a medieval sort of fantasy setting?
It's definitely a fantasy setting, yeah.
I'm just wondering how many transgender surgeries were going on in medieval sort of medieval Europe, for example.
Why didn't they just go to the local magician?
I think so. Yeah. It's like when they because is there not like a lot of fantasy artwork doing the rounds at the moment with like berserkers in wheelchairs, just like wheeling their way into battle?
I do love the wheelchair.
Like, do you have a problem with this, but you don't have a problem with wizards and dragons and stuff? It's like, well, yeah, there's a difference between realism and believability, I'm afraid.
Well, and they'll be like, you hate disabled people. You're like, listen, that has nothing to do with me not wanting them in the video game.
Like, yeah, obviously I hate them, but you know.
As soon as I go down this disabled access ramp in this dungeon, I'm gonna do you, mate.
I can't believe this is a sentence I can say, but hey, Az, do you remember the rocket launcher firing wheelchair person in Doctor Who?
Oh my.
The one that made me petrified of disabled people? Yes.
The one, what the fuck, Russell?
They've all got rocket launchers in their wheelchairs, Az. You got to be careful.
Oh my god.
They'll get you.
I know. Gotta catch me first.
Snex asks us the ultimate
Austin
question.
Powers.
Question for the whole panel.
Fuck you.
Who is the most unhinged, Ryan, Gundam, or Wolf? Cheers, friends.
Most unhinged.
Should the question be who is the most unhinged at their most unhinged? Or
I think so, yeah. Peak unhinged.
Be Wolf. Sorry, he's gonna slaughter all the other two. It's not even close.
I mean, Ryan can get pretty angry.
Have you seen what Wolf says when he gets really mad? He talked about how Tolkien would rape George R.R. Martin. he says all kinds of shit, man.
Maybe that's something that needs to happen. I don't know.
Maybe AI can do it for him.
Yeah.
I'll go. I'll champion Ryan. Ryan's cool with me.
No, I can go with Wolf. He is, yeah.
Christ.
He's an intense individual.
I think if Wolf and Ryan got into like a huge shower match, Ryan would just be like, "What the fuck?" Like the shit Wolf would come out with, like, I'm just gonna back away.
It's like I'm scared of you. Anthony O'Rourke says, "Who do you think could get Neil deGrasse Tyson to come out on a stream and answer your questions about sci-fi films? It's already something he likes talking about." I'm taking a wild guess here. I don't think he'd want to come on open bar somehow.
You never know, man.
Just a wild guess there.
For a scientist, he's got some interesting theories about other stuff.
Yeah,
everything.
Agreed as.
I'll do a couple more and then finish up. Marksman says, MauLer, the internet pulled a boogie and somehow missed all the broken mechanics, clipping, and gameplay in the Assassin's Creed Shadow trailer. How did we miss?
Oh my god!
I thought you were going to say Star Wars Outlaws.
Well, I think there was because I remember there was a trailer that came out recently where like there was a horse walking down the road, but the horse was kind of like almost gliding across the ground, like it wasn't like the footsteps weren't like the foot would be still, but it would be sliding a little bit, like it wasn't properly walking. Which is a little bit weird. I feel like Red Dead Redemption kind of sorted out the whole horse thing like 15 years ago.
They sorted it out just for them to ruin it again.
You know what I love about modern games? Because the graphics are so good, it makes the glitches so much more hilarious.
Yeah, it really does. It absolutely does. You're totally right.
That's what the drinker. That's what the drinker said between PS5, PS5 Pro, $800 for like 1% sharper visuals. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's like, do you really want 50% like more efficient ray tracing? Fucking who even cares?
They love announcing innovation for aesthetic, but they never fucking announce mechanical innovation anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a long time. It feels like the last generation that saw a meaningful difference between the types of games that were being created was like PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, Xbox to Xbox 360. Like that was the last time where it's like, damn, man, I actually can't imagine like these games on PlayStation 2 or, the original Xbox. Like it just doesn't. Grand Theft Auto 4 is not going to be running on a PlayStation 2. But now it really is. It's just like, yeah, I mean, hey, look, it's 4K. Oh, cool. Like, all right. Yeah, awesome.
I love that Best Buy is like, hey, here's $12,000 for 8K television, even though the human eye can't see 8K.
Yeah,
sure. Why
it's
not?
like, oh, do you want to see like 120 frames per second? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd be able to see that.
I'm way more partial to frame rate improvements because they actually affect the gameplay. Like, I'm way more in favor of that. But in terms of just like purely, hey, look, ray tracing, it's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Like, yeah,
right.
so your reflections on objects will be slightly better, like which I'm not even going to notice because I'll be whizzing past them so quickly most of the time. Like, yeah, who cares?
I'm going to be dead before they even contemplate doing the next generation of. I know that could be tomorrow by the looks of Agatha, but before they do the next true next generation of the MMORPG, which just is not going to happen anymore. It never will.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one more here from Breaking Puppet, who said, Drinker MauLer panel, watch Dead and Breakfast, great comedy. It has a guy from Wrong Turn, Negan from Walking Dead, and David Carradine. I told Metal about it. Also, MauLer, listen to how to say Breaking Puppet in Welsh. I'm going to keep asking you to say it.
Dead and Breakfast, sure.
So how do you say Breaking Puppet in Welsh?
Let's have a look.
Do it, MauLer.
Smaller.
You shouldn't have to Google it. You should know Welsh.
Yeah, you're Welsh.
What the hell?
I know all languages. There's just so much information I have to search through my files.
Wow, right.
It's not Welsh. He's a Cthulhu god.
Yeah, so I know everything.
He's from Wales.
Yeah,
from Wales.
I arrived in Wales.
I go there, but I'm not from there. Okay.
Breaking Puppet in Welsh is Torri Peped.
Torri Peped.
Okay. Right.
Sure. In lack of other information, sure. I'll go with that. I'll probably finish up there tonight. So I want to say, gentlemen, panel, you wonderful people, thanks for coming in for this tonight. It's been great to have you guys on, as always.
Thanks.
I feel like we
appreciate it.
We wasted as much time as possible talking about other stuff before we actually had to get onto the subjects. And that was the best part for me.
We're just gradually realizing how much potential there is for us to make a James Bond show. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The true Agatha is like the other things we discussed along the way, as far as I'm concerned.
Drinker, it's only 7 more episodes.
Yeah.
My God, that's insane.
It's 7 episodes. God damn.
Oh my God.
Don't expect us to be covering this week on week on Open Bar. That's all I'm going to say.
That would be cruel.
But for everyone who sent us in all those super chats, thank you very much for your generosity. Really appreciate it. We'll answer any ones that we didn't pick up tonight, obviously on last orders. And thank you to my mods as well for doing the usual great job that you guys always do. But for now, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
See everybody. Bye-bye.